The following content is intended for a mature audience, only viewer discretion is strongly advised.
Yeah. To the tune of OPP, minority by nature. No time for idle chitter chat and petty iterations. Teaming to me exponentially like I'm Barack's inauguration. Erratic calculations, nah, I runs the infinite. Only way I slow me down is with some calcing by a limit. They might no longer show the work, the answer self-evident. Some truth should be proclaimed in the Declaration of Independence. Things not instantaneous can be approximated by adding up our changes till everything integrated. Word to my partners in calculus. Yo, you down with BCP? Yeah, you know me. You down with BCP? Yeah, you know me. Integral, grind exponential. You down with BCP? That's the way we rotate radiannually. You down with BCP? Down with BCP? You down with BCP? You down with BCP? That's the way we do things limitlessly. Yeah. You down with BCP? Yeah, you know me. You down with BCP? Let's blow. Switch the flow. Shift the tempo.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. What's up, Foster?
Same old crap, Pete. I was kind of doing some dancing because Shorty's not here to dance.
No,
but I don't know if I could do it as bad.
No.
Should I like bang something? I don't.
Oh man. I got to do something about my eyes there, bro. I'm seeing too much.
It looks like you're looking hard there.
Man,
oh, I got a second that.
What's up, Tony Moy? What's up, Heidi? Bear Down Sports. What's happening? Cliff Victoria. And somebody else has seen Minister Charles Johnson. I think Jay Grizz, he's in here too. Cool.
Yeah.
Benjamin Williams.
Benjamin.
And I just want to say, Maurice. Never mind. Lester.
You can leave those guys out. They're a little off. Maurice Lester and Joaquin Foster.
Man.
They got to go.
Shorty had a situation going on, so he will not be joining us tonight. I guess I'll let him, whenever he comes back, bring up his own situation. Without his permission, I want to bring it up. But hey, Mr. Mayhem, what's happening? So what's going on, Foster?
Did you say Relentless Mikey's in the house? John's.
Oh, Relentless Mikey, what's up, man?
Adam Mason, Tony Moy.
Adam. Yeah. Carl, he had to go take care of some business. He'll be joining us later.
He's dropping the kids off at the pool.
Yeah. The pool's open.
Well, and we were going to have Aldo Gandia was going to be on tonight, but he had to bail. He had an emergency too. So looks like it's just you and I, Peach. Hi, Patty. Patty Lear in the house.
Hi, Patty. It's always a pleasure to be with you, Foster. Except in the coffee.
Yeah, but it's likewise, man. You want to just to make sure Patty feels at home, like disconnect her or something. Shorty would always boot her from the show accidentally.
No, I want to boot her. I may not be able to get her back.
Yeah. Well, you know.
Vitality.
Right off
you
the
guys
bat.
are setting me up for an early food segment to justify my pool adventures. No. You want to go live there, Carl? I mean, so show the people your sitting situation. All right. No. So no super chats. All right, here we go. So this week I have not been able to keep up with what's going on in Chicago Bears news. So what can you tell me, Foster?
Well, You do know about all the free agents that we discussed last week, right?
Yes.
Okay, or at least most of them, I'm sure. The only talk I caught something today that really threw me because I was like, and again, it was just false news. It was about the Bears signing Bosa, and I had to double check that because literally somebody reported it, and I'm going. I checked everywhere. That never happened. That was a load of crap.
Yeah.
And then there is, I think Illinois is going to pass. They're trying to pass some law to stop teams from forcing governments to give them money, state governments, to give them money by threatening to move out of state. It's some crappy thing. I just caught it tonight on the way home. I was listening to the radio,
Oh, wow.
and I was like, "What?" And it was some guy out of Texas and some guy out of Illinois that they're trying to pass some law, I think. And I'm just like, I don't know how much effect that would have in Illinois because what they're trying to do in Illinois is just ridiculous. They want 8 times the tax amount as the Rams are paying in California. And they're paying, I forgot what the amount is, but it's I think $10 million a year in taxes.
Right.
And here in Illinois want like $80 million a year.
That's ridiculous.
So it's like you could pass all the laws you want. That's just a joke, man.
Yeah,
It's
I think
insane.
that yeah, I think I mean, because I know, taxes are different for each state. I don't know how they come up with 80 to $100 million in taxes each year. That's an insane amount of money. Insane.
It is. I mean, they're just, and we know what it's like in Illinois, man. It's just so corrupt, man. Who knows where all this money's going? They're just doing whatever they want with it. Here, so what? What did Cliff say? This is a good kind of analogy. So my mechanic quoted me $825 to change my spark plug. It took me an hour and 50 minutes, and it cost me $120 for the plugs. I paid myself $700 for less than 2 hours of work.
Yes.
I mean, that's the society today, and it's really sad. Really sad.
Yeah, they try to get over too much.
Even and this, I don't like getting political, but like a lot of this tariff stuff, they're saying there's certain prices it shouldn't even affect it. I mean, they're just the greed, and the corruptions is the worst thing in this country. It's the worst thing in this country, man. I mean, there's other issues, but if we got rid of a lot of that, other things would change.
I think certain things start off as a good idea, but over the years, people tend to corrupt it, like you said, and mismanage it, and then we end up where we are.
Yep.
So I mean, I get it. It's just, I mean, I don't know. I mean, as far as the stadium goes, my opinions about it has been the same. I would love for them to stay in Illinois.
Yeah.
My preference is the Arlington Heights site.
Me too.
Because of being able to have more room, more parking.
Yep.
Those are the reasons. I mean, if they could do all that in the city of Chicago with less traffic, yeah, sign me up. But because of the congestion downtown Chicago, and you're landlocked because you can't go further because of the Lake Michigan, and then you got to have the certain amount of museum space and all that. So there's not a lot you can do down there. So you're restricting yourself.
Yeah,
I get the whole you want to attract people to downtown Chicago, but I think Arlington Heights is the way to go, man, with all that land.
Dude, they could put everything there. They could have a little amusement park. There could be hotels and casinos. It could be like its own little thing. And if they did it right, it would just pay off for the state and everybody in Chicago. So how many people that would come in for a Bears game staying in Arlington Heights wouldn't mind jumping on 90 and running 15, 20 minutes into the city? It's going to happen.
Oh, yeah. It's going to happen. Absolutely. Absolutely, it's going to happen. I mean, especially when you get all these other type venues that coming in. I mean, the Final Four, you can get the Super Bowl, you can get other type, venues.
Endless. It's endless.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So we'll see what happens. I mean,
yeah,
I hope they come up with a resolution soon. and hopefully it all works out.
It'll work out the way God intends it to.
Well, I wouldn't always say that. Now, I'm a big time believer in God, but certain things, yeah, God's not. Yeah, God may allow it, but I don't mean He wants it.
Yeah, I'm not like I agree with Mikey on this statement so much. The state
that?
cannot tell a private business how to conduct their business. That's absolutely bull. We're not in Russia or any a communistic type country or a socialist country.
Not yet, at least. Not yet.
So with the Bears, I mean, like now everything is kind of gearing up towards the draft. I don't know if you saw Poles was at the Alabama Pro Day.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So he was down there, and I'm sure there's a couple of guys he was looking at, and I'm going to say slightly talk of the offensive tackle. I can't remember his name, and then the defensive tackle at Alabama, because there's some, they got some good players always.
Okay.
He was down there checking the scene out. I saw a picture of him down there today, early this morning. I think the big talk lately has been because they brought in McDonald. I got to make sure I'm doing this right.
Is that the guy from Ohio State?
Yeah. Let me double check here. Where's Carl?
He's still pinching off a loaf.
I thought he just ate a loaf. Oh, that was a meatloaf. Let me see.
I see that. Yeah. I saw they brought in a guy from Ohio State. I can't remember his name, but he was defensive tackle, 6'3", 326.
Yeah. Defensive tackle.
Okay.
Defensive tackle. Carl's in the chat. Steve Rogers just popped in. What's up, gentlemen?
What's up, Captain America?
Captain America, gold is my shield. I don't know where that comes from.
Yeah, I remember that song too, Foster. Don't tell nobody though. But yeah, I think
we're on the air,
right? with the whole,
are we live?
With the whole bringing in, excuse me, at least looking at the defensive tackle, I think that's a good thing. I don't know if that's our number one need or not. I know we're going to get into it a little bit later, but I like that they are looking at a defensive tackle, which they look at a defensive end as well as a safety.
Yeah.
Because in my opinion, those are the top three, not necessarily in that order, but I think we really need to address those three top positions.
No, absolutely. Caden McDonald.
Caden McDonald.
Okay. Yeah. But that's even the thumbnail. What does this roster still need? That's the thumbnail for the show tonight. What's up, Chips Ahoy boy?
Well, honestly, I mean, it depends on. I think we have a lot of needs. Actually, I think we have a lot of needs. It's just that what needs do we want to address first?
Well,
I mean, at pick number 25, are you going after? I mean, what are you going after, Foster, at 25?
Defensive. We always, for 3 years, we sat here and said, "What's the biggest problem, Peach? Interior offensive line. Interior offensive line." To me, this year, and I said it during the season, the interior defensive line is the biggest need because that makes everybody else behind them stronger. If you don't have a pass rusher, you can't stop the run. It's harder for everybody behind those guys. Correct?
Yeah,
so,
but I've kind of changed my tune. So, but go ahead and finish.
No, that's okay. I'm just saying. So that's where I want to start. I mean, defensive tackle is going to affect your defensive ends. It's going to affect your linebackers, cornerback, safety. If you're getting better pressure on pass downs up the middle, and the way I remember this season, it was like, damn, on passing downs, almost every time that quarterback had a place to step forward against the Bears. And that's when you're in crunch time, that's not a good situation when that quarterback's got room to step up. If he's got to go backwards or side to side, that's what you want. You want him moving into the lane of one of your rushers, but to be able to take 1, 2, sometimes even 3 steps forward and throw, that ain't gonna fly. It ain't NFL. That ain't gonna fly. Not for long in this league.
Man, for me, although I agree that I think defensive tackle may be more of a pressing need, somewhat, I look at it like you can find a quality defensive end at 25. Maybe not top tier, but pretty good quality. I think they will all be gone in the second round by the time we get on the board again. So therefore, I'm more tempted to take the defensive end in the first round, and then in the second round, go after the defensive tackle and safety. Not that I think defensive end again necessarily more of a need. I just think after you get out of that first round, you're not going to find the quality, in my opinion. I mean, so that's why I would rather go that route.
I can, and you know what? I don't even mind that. I don't even mind that as long as we address defensive tackle in this draft in the first 3 picks.
I agree.
Because I do like, people are going to say, oh, they're PFF scores, and I'm like, just go look at them on tape. I actually like the guys brought in, Street and Gallimore, and I can't remember the other guy's name, because I went and looked at a little bit of their all 22. Fortunately, there's a couple guys on YouTube that when the Bears signed these guys, they went out and pulled some of their all 22. I think I sent one to you guys. I can't remember who it was on, but I think I put one in our four-way, me, you, Carl, Shorty, and I get it, because I can see that, but I'm a big fan of Booker, and I'm a Sweat guy. No matter what anybody says Sweat, I'm just like, man, put more guys around these guys that are more effective. Give them 2 better defensive tackles. And Booker, man, it'd be great to see a whole season, what he can do in a whole season, because I keep saying this. I'm like, if you go back and you watch that Rams game, McVay did not double Sweat. He doubled Booker almost the entire first half on passing time. Go back and watch the first half of that Rams game, that playoff game. Mm-hmm. They were on Booker the first 2 quarters relentlessly. I mean, they were always double teaming him, or there was probably 5 or 6 times where the offensive tackle had Booker, and Booker was about to get outside, and you see the guard turn around and go around his tackle and shut Booker off. That happened like 3-5 times that I saw. I know 3 for sure, and I'm going to say 5 because I watched it. I think definitely, though, those are the 2 big needs. And a safety. We need another safety.
Absolutely.
It's like you said, dude. We're getting into this, and okay, yeah, we need a defensive tackle. Oh, wait, we need a defensive. Well, we need a safety too. We could maybe use another running back. I mean, where does it end?
Man.
Thought we were covered, and then as we go through it, it's like the list keeps going on.
We might even need another linebacker. Who knows?
That would be one of my other draft picks too, because I'm looking for the future too. I'm not just looking about 2026, because as we've talked about several times, man, there's guys coming up for big money, and we're never going to be able to pay them all. I mean, you just got to face facts. We're not going to be able to pay all these guys, man.
That's true.
Look at what happens to the teams that try and do. New Orleans is finally, and they weren't. They were still negative in salary cap coming into this year, but they made some really good moves to adjust that. So how long ago did Breeze retire? They're just coming out of that salary cap hell. And if you went back and looked the day that the new season started, when the season ends and we start the new season where everybody's contracts, beginning of free agency, I think they were still minus $14 million. This has been going on with them for 6 years. I just don't want that to happen
forever kicking a ball down the road.
Yeah,
Can down the road.
because look what we had to go through the first 2 years. Poles was here just fixing that mess.
True.
That's why I really like that he hasn't fixed the contract yet. This is going to be his first one where he's had to what do you call it? Restructure a contract. He hasn't done it yet because we know how that affects the future. You know, now he's going to have to do it because we're already light right now. We don't have the money for our draft picks.
Unless you decide to get rid of Swift.
Yeah, but $9 million. What is it? 9 or no? Wait, what's he making?
Eight.
So that doesn't even sign your draft picks, Peach.
Yeah,
doesn't even
that's
sign
true.
your draft picks. And then now you got to draft another running back or two too. If you do that,
Yeah, I agree.
well, what is up, Suggett and semi-pro Jackie Moon? I don't know the name.
Yeah, I don't know that one either.
Suggett, I remember. Suggett. Suggett. Semi-pro Jackie Moon's going, where's Shorty? Yeah, we got him tied up in the back room.
Well, he left this up here for you guys.
Shorty said, love you guys. Thanks for doing this without me. Sorry I couldn't join you. That's okay, man. You take care of the important things, brother.
All the time.
There's always an order of everything, and this is just a show that we do weekly for fun.
And while life still goes on.
Yeah. Relentless Mike, he says, Foster, no restructures have been done yet, and that's I knew that, but we're gonna have to do some.
Oh yeah,
we are not going to be able to pay the draft, pay for our draft pick. And then you've got to have working capital during the season for insurance reasons, buyouts, somebody getting injured. So he's going to have to do a couple restructures. And it's going to have to be the bigger contracts. Like I was watching something and somebody said something about restructure Komet. And I'm looking at the contract going, that isn't really even big enough to do anything. It's going to have to be somebody like Tooney or Sweat. Somebody who's got a lot of money involved. So we're going to have to probably do a couple restructures just to get the money for this season in the payroll. What's up, Howie R. Bears?
how we are.
Howie R. Bears says, I don't know what one was, but two is trade Tyreek and Grady. He's saying to Atlanta for Terrell and Jay Bates. 3 years at $3 million, 17, 19. I got to look at that better.
Yeah, I don't know if Bears can pull that one off because, I mean, Atlanta already got rid of one of their other wide receivers, so I don't know how you're going to be able to get in the AJ Terrell a wide receiver or no?
I think so. I don't.
AJ Terrell, gentlemen, welcome in. AJ Terrell is a cornerback for the Atlanta Falcons.
Oh. Yeah, we need another cornerback.
I mean, that was one of the things I was about to bring up. So PJ says no cornerback, period.
Well, I mean, I'm not giving up draft cap. I mean, if anything, fifth or beyond.
Yeah, I could see drafting one. I did a mock page, and I was like,
let's
mocks. I walked right into cornerbacks every time. I'm going, man, don't want a cornerback, but
I take one.
BPA, best player available. And
right.
That was the other thing I wanted to bring up too, guys. And I'm sorry to cut somebody off. Is I really think Poles set this up with the people he brought in to draft BPA for most of this draft, unless he's going to pull a trade off. So
I think that's really hard to dispel. I think that you're right. And I keep going back to what me and Adam Mason did last year, where we kind of went episode by episode, breaking down the roster and kind of getting to the point where it's like, okay, we know exactly what the Bears' needs are, and that's kind of why I set the show up the way I did today. I wanted it to kind of snowball into that, right? Because last year, I think everyone knew you kind of needed a wide receiver 3, a wide receiver 4, and you needed a tight end 2. Well, lo and behold, you drafted those players with your first 2 picks. They were both top 40 picks. Tight end was drafted in the top 10. So you're spot on, right? It should be best player available. The need should be a factor, and I kind of want to get into the micro on that today with you guys to figure out exactly, what is more important. But at the end of the day, you do need to you can't choose who the 24 picks before you are. You can only choose who you pick at 25, and that should ideally be the best player available at that time.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out real quick to Steve, New Breed 313 Sports. That's our buddy from Detroit. He's got a podcast. Right now, he's doing a lot of basketball stuff. So if anybody's a Detroit Pistons fan, New Breed 313 Sports, he's covering the Pistons pretty heavily at this time. Thanks for popping in, Steve.
Yeah, always appreciate that. He was really, really cool last year. This was a guy who actually gave us live footage of them at the draft. If it was not this last year, it was 2 years ago. He was at the draft in Detroit.
Yeah. Yep.
So special shout out. They've got great content over there. Would be really cool to have him on for an episode one day, huh? How has the offseason been for the Lions? Because from afar, from my very unprofessional point of view and my downright snarky attitude, I think the Lions got quite a lot worse, guys. Quite a lot worse.
We'll have to set it up. Steve, there you go. You heard it. We're going to get you on here, and we're going to talk about...
We'll play ping pong, right? Over to you.
Yeah. We'll get it. Shorty and I and him, we got a 3-way chat, so we'll figure it out.
We don't have to bring it on screen or bring too much light to it because it's sad. But Romy, I see your comment in chat, and I'm very, very sorry to hear that, Romy. Maybe I'm speaking out of line here, but Dan's kind of going through the same thing right now. So, again, I think we can put the pieces together. I don't know. This chat is very close. We know each other even behind the cameras. So, we know what's going on with Shorty. We hear it. And, again, Romy, same situation. Very, very sorry to hear it, Romy.
Our condolences, Romy.
Yes.
Sometimes a lot of animals are better than a lot of people. just my thought. Jack Mehoff in the house tonight. Sorry about your dog, Shorty. That's Mehoff Jack 96. So we go back to the Bears here. Set it up, Carl.
Say it one more time.
I said set it up because you said you were gonna. You set this up for a reason the way you did to snowball into something, and I forgot what it was, honestly.
Just kind of like an in-depth micro analysis, micro being like granular. What exactly does this football team need from a positional standpoint? I would like to give the floor to PJ, though. If PJ is in the mindset of maybe saying, if you had to pick one position, not even a position group, but one position, and try and get as granular as you can, PJ. If there was one spot on this roster that still needs to be filled, again, March 26th, well before the NFL draft, what are you looking at, PJ? You are muted, I think, still for the record, too, PJ. Technical difficulties, everyone. There we go.
Sorry about that. I think, unfortunately for me, I think defensive tackle is what I want to do, but like I was telling Foster, I think because of the way the thing is, I believe that this class is deeper at defensive tackle than they are at, per se, defensive end. So because of that, that would prompt me to want to take defensive end first. And because of player value or position value, I think you can get a good quality safety in the second round. So although a safety will come in my opinion, and start right away because of the need for it, I think we already have 2 starters on defensive tackle. Excuse me. And we probably have 2 starters at defensive end. But because of positional value and quality of player, I would go defensive end, defensive tackle, then safety. with the safety probably being the one that actually starts right away.
Yeah, it's kind of a nuanced and kind of, I don't want to say tense discussion with you, but do you think that Jervon Dexter is a starter? Do you think that
I think he is. I mean,
Austin?
I,
Sorry,
I think Dexter's a starter. Booker, I'm on the fence about. I think I'll see. I got to see more. But Dexter, I think, is a starter. Is he a top 5 defensive tackle? No. Uh, but is he one of the what 64 best defensive tackles in the league? Yes, I believe that. So he's starter quality.
and again, specifically, that is on Jervon Dexter.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's a really slippery and tricky situation, and I kind of try and take a positive and optimistic approach to it in the sense that, and I should look this up before I say this out loud, but I think that we've got Austin Booker under contract for at least the next 2 years.
Yeah.
I think no matter what happens, not God forbid, but God willing, if Austin Booker was to break the sack record, we'd still have him on his rookie contract. And obviously, he wouldn't. If he broke that record, he would not pay on that salary, and the Bears wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. They didn't have a deal, but you know what I'm trying to get at, right? I'm pretty sure Jervon Dexter, this is his last year. You'd have to extend him if you want him on your football team next year.
Yeah.
And I think for you to give him any sort of money, I think that he'd have to do something serious. And at this point, I don't think he has it in him. So when you talk about a position of need, yes, there's a missing safety. And all due respect to Elijah Hicks, I don't think that football player is going to help us win more than one playoff game this year. We need an upgrade there. We need to acquire one. And I don't think that unless we're trading for one, the only avenue at this point is the draft. And I wouldn't get cute with it. I wouldn't get stupid with it. If a guy like Thieneman, if a guy like Emmanuel McNeil-Warren fall to you at 25 and you evaluate them and being the best player on the board, just take them and don't look back. They'll be good players for you. They'll be just fine. But I agree with you guys. I think the defensive tackle, the defensive end has more positional value. And again, I think that Austin Booker is a starter. I'm interested in seeing if he deserves to get an extension, and he should be a starter because of that. Not to say you don't add to that and add a rotation, which is why you can get a guy in the second, the third, fourth round. I would roll with Montez Sweat, Austin Booker on the outside. You're already paying Grady Jarrett, and I think he started to ascend and is a player that, our defensive coordinator liked as well. He decided to sign him in free agency, right? He should be your second best defensive tackle. I think you need to acquire a starter, a true DT number 1, and you could draft that at 25 if he's available. But the safety is important too, so it's I'm kind of happy it's not my decision, right? But it's fun to talk about.
Yeah.
As far as Gervon is concerned, he did not take the step I thought he was going to take. This
Right. And you
so
signed
I don't.
Jarrett.
Right.
You
Well, I
think
get that. And Jarrett, and this was brought up, and I knew something was up because if you look at the last 5 or 6 games, he was way better than he was the prior to that. So I do know there was an injury there involved, and it seemed like he got better late in the season. Remember those games. I just don't know if Dexter is it, if he's a starter caliber. He's not in the top 60. I don't, in my opinion, I haven't seen it top 60. The numbers show one thing, but what we really need is a one tackle, a nose tackle to play that position that can eat up 2 guys and stop teams from getting 5 or 6 yards running up the middle on first down.
So here's
we don't have it. We just don't have it.
No, that's very true, Foster. But and again, I'm not an evaluator of talent, and I'd even go so far as to say on this panel, I'm the least educated as far as what these football players need to do for a certain scheme. But Dennis Allen's scheme tends to suggest that it doesn't need a nose tackle. Doesn't need maybe it needs a one technique, but it definitely doesn't need a nose tackle to eat up that space. You want these lighter guys who can get off the ball faster and can kind of get upfield faster to kind of cause chaos. And Jervon Dexter is not that guy. Jervon Dexter, maybe in a perfect scheme, is an okay player. I think his ceiling and the best he could ever offer for a roster is being the defensive tackle number 3 for a really good rotation. I don't think he's a DT1 and a guy you can hang your hat on. It's just he hasn't done it, man. Up to this point, I don't know.
That's tough. I think Jervon is more of a 3 tech. I think Grady is a 3 tech as well.
I
So
agree with
the
that, PJ.
so the issue is, either one of them play 1 tech or the 0 tech or even a 2I per se. So because they're playing out of position,
That could be it. Right. No.
so therefore, I
And
mean,
And
they did play. They were switching positions during at least at the end of the season when
yeah,
Jarrett was playing better. There was a rotation there. They were not every play, but I
well,
kept
there's so
going. I'm like,
many.
wow, so they're lining up opposite in opposite positions.
There's,
But it wasn't effective against the run, and then we couldn't get the pressure up the middle consistently. And if you
right.
can't get the pressure up the middle, how can you have an elite defense?
And if the defensive ends get upfield and get any sort of pressure, well, the quarterback can just slide up through the middle because your defensive tackles are weak sticks or getting pushed to the side, and it makes them even look bad.
yeah, I think first of all, I think the Bears got zero in on what they want. Do they want a 0 technique, a 1 technique, a 2I technique, a 2 technique? What are they really looking for
Yeah.
to man that other defensive tackle position? Because a 0 technique, normally found in the 3-4, requires a bigger body. Think like Vince Woolfolk, a guy who just can't be moved. But because Bears play 2 defensive tackles, one being the 3 technique, the other one could either be a 1 technique, a 2I, or just a 2. If you're going with a one technique, you still need a bigger guy who won't get washed by a double team as quick. So you're looking for that. So if you don't have a 1 technique per se, you can go after a 2I technique. Now Grady or Javon, they probably can play a 2I technique, which is the inside shoulder of the guard. By playing the inside shoulder of the guard, you can control that A gap, and you're less susceptible to double teams. So again, you got to identify what it is they're looking for, and whether or not the person opposite them will be able to work with them. Because like I said, I really believe Jervon as well as Dexter are more of 3 techniques, and therefore one of them is playing out of position. And I agree, Dex was a nose tackle in college. However, being that nose tackle in college, he was like 6'6", and his leverage wasn't very well. So shorter centers and guards able to get underneath his pads and wash him away. So therefore, there's an issue there. So whereas Grady's shorter,
Yeah.
but I don't know if he has the bulk. He has the bulk to play the 1 technique or the 3 or the 0 technique. Now, I see Adam talking about DeForest Buckner. Now he's a 3 technique as well. The problem with Javon, and this is the problem that Carl identifies all the time, Javon has a problem getting off the ball quick enough. He doesn't get off the ball quick enough. His reaction time is slow. So he's not getting off the ball quick enough, and he's playing on the outside shoulder of the guard. So his job is to disrupt the play from that position. But if you're not getting off the ball quick enough, therefore you really can't disrupt it because now they can adjust to you.
Yeah. So, all that to say, if you stumble onto a guy like Peter Woods, who is not going to be an immediate NFL game wrecker, but is going to be very talented, he can split the time with Jervon Dexter. Jervon Dexter is under contract, and I would be so bold as to say he's going to make the roster in 2026.
What is
But
the
a lot-
measurables of Mr. Woods?
I'll try and throw that up maybe once I pass the baton here. But all that to say, I think it would be wise to kind of ride out that Dexter contract. Maybe Dexter surprises you. Maybe he does something. You're able to coach him up. He's able to have a nice, productive season. He'll never get a contract like Milton Williams did from the Patriots, but he'll get a decent enough contract. And again, we're talking about comp picks. We're very frustrated. We don't have our third round comp picks. There's a very, very evil, stupid thing that happened. But you can start to play this comp pick formula where your players that you spent serious draft capital on leave in free agency. They sign deals elsewhere. And obviously one player's not going to contribute to that. And I brought that up in our text exchange, right? Let's say Jedrick Wills. He wins that left tackle position, which I'm currently predicting he will. If he plays well, he could trick someone. Left tackles aren't cheap. If he looks good, if he's healthy, if he's coached up from a really good coaching scheme in the Bears, Ben Johnson talks him up. I would not be surprised if next year he signs somewhere else for a team as a starting left tackle at $25 million a year. Obviously with incentives, whatever it is, right? So let these guys walk if you're not totally sold on them. And Dexter was not a player. Dexter was not a player that was drafted by Dennis Allen and this current regime. Yes, the general manager was here. He tried, but I think I don't know if I'm alone on this panel or in the chat when I say that. I think Ben Johnson and his staff really have a firm grasp on the personnel department, to say it lightly. So
I would agree with that.
I think Dexter, a player that I don't know if Dennis Allen would have handpicked himself, but he didn't regardless, and he's going to have the chance to. And if he takes a defensive tackle at 25, really don't be surprised with that. But Victoria makes the most important point about all of this. Sorry, Foster. Peter Woods, great porn name. You're spot on, Cliff.
Absolutely for sure, Cliff. Thanks for stopping in, Chad Speaker. Go enjoy your family.
Yes.
Chad Speaker, one of our big supporters, popped in just to say hey.
Take it easy, Chad. Good to see you.
It's Woods going to be there. I mean, a lot of people got him as the top one or two defensive tackles on the board.
Yeah. I'm on the belief.
He's 6'3", 315 pounds.
I'm of the belief that, he's probably more of a 3 technique from those measurables. So I think Jervon as well as Grady plays the 3 technique already. So I wouldn't draft another one. And then if I really believe Shamar Turner, best position would probably be the 3 technique as well. So now you're looking at 3 guys who play the 3 technique, and we still don't have that run stuffer in a 2-eye technique or a 1 technique. I mean, there you go.
Let me drop something in here real
6'3",
quick.
326.
We all watched Shamar Turner before his ACL injury start to play reps at defensive end.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe Shamar Turner was always a guy where they just prioritized his versatility, and he was always going to be our defensive tackle 3, defensive end 3, whatever. But as far as evaluating this roster right now, just like Isaac Trapilla, man, I almost would approach it as Shamar Turner isn't even a name for the core 40. He'll make the 53 because he's a high draft pick, but coming off that injury, I wouldn't plan for him to have a serious impact on your team, right? Don't hang your hat and say, oh, we don't need this guy at 25. I don't care how good he is because we have Shamar Turner. That's hogwash. I say you could stumble upon a really good situation if you draft a good defensive tackle in 25 and then pair him with a healthy Shamar Turner towards the end of the season. Now you have a serious upgrade at your defensive line if all goes well.
Yeah, I'm just not convinced. Well, I mean, I know, and I agree, Turner did play some defensive end last year. I just wasn't overly impressed with how he was looking at the defensive end.
PJ, I think we're in agreement. I think that in a perfect world and the most probable position where Shamar Turner adds value to the Chicago Bears is at some sort of defensive tackle. I don't know if it's 3 technique, 1 technique, or if they're going to play positionless inside the 2 defensive tackles there, right? Whatever it is, I think inside he will be a better player. But again, if you can get a player who I don't have a good comparison, like a comparable player in a different situation. But if he lines up outside and has production, at the end of the day, I really don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you don't want to just have a bunch of defensive tackles who play the same position and none of them being a run stuffer, in my opinion.
I agree. I just we need an upgrade at the defensive tackle position, either one of them, whatever it is.
Yeah,
the
I
1,
agree.
the 2 wide, the 3. An upgrade at any of those cannot hurt us. Can't. It shouldn't.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I said. I mean, for me, getting a one technique. I mean, the guy you mentioned from Ohio State, Foster. I mean, that to me is the route I'll go. But we talked about this last year, Carl, with even Grant. I said, same thing with Grant. If Grant, we would have gotten Grant at 10, I think, he can fill that role of being the one technique. We need a one technique. The problem is we have three techniques. And I think, like Ravi said in the chat that, I think Turner can be a good rotational piece at three technique with Javon, Dexter. So, I mean, Javon as well as Grady. But all three of them, to me, are three techniques. We don't have, that one guy we got from, Indianapolis? Gallimore? Is that his
Neville
name?
Gallimore, yeah.
I think he's more of a one technique.
Yes.
So,
Big boy.
but that's one. That's just one. So I think we need another.
But he's not like this huge, imposing threat, per se. I think that he's big for what he is, but he's still on that more lean and speed side. He's fast.
What's his
for
measure?
what he is.
What
Let's take a
measure?
look. I'm actively Googling it right now. I don't even know how to spell. Neville Gallimore.
It's like Willie.
Measurements.
Here's the thing, and I'm going to agree with Mikey on this, is it's just we don't have that run stuffer on the roster.
I'm thinking it's Gallimore.
Yeah, Neville Gallimore.
Yeah, but is he your number one? Is he going to be starting there? 'Cause he's a rotational piece.
I view Neville Gallimore right now as an Andrew Billings replacement, not necessarily in the exact style, because Billings was a true run stuffer and testament to his huge, massive size, right? For context, PJ, AI, everyone loves AI, is telling me that Neville Gallimore is 6'2", 307 pounds, 33 and 1/8 inch arms, 10 and 3/8 inch hands.
So he's more of a one technique.
Yeah, he's not a nose tackle, and that's kind of where I'm hinting with all of this. It
But a
doesn't
nose
feel like the
tackle-
Chicago Bears want a nose tackle.
No, they don't want a nose. They want a one technique or a 2-eye technique.
Yeah.
Nose technique lines right over the center, and
That is Vince Wilfork. I understand that to a
Right.
T. That is Vince Wilfork.
and
That is
because,
not in the cards here.
and because of the Bears having two defensive tackles, they are not looking for zero technique. That's the nose tackle. They're not looking for one because
Right.
they're looking for a guy to play off center or off inside shoulder of the guard. That's what the Bears are looking for. And Gallimore can fit that, being the one technique is right off, off of the center. He's on the outside shoulder of the center. That's the one technique.
Inside shoulder guard.
Inside his shoulder of the guard is a 2-eye technique. So I
Okay.
think the Bears are looking for one of those two guys, not the zero technique. And therefore, your guy from Ohio State, I don't know why I keep forgetting his name, but seemed like
Caden
Caden
McDonald, big boy. They call him K Mac for Big Mac, but
now
Caden
seem like he can
McDonald,
play.
K-Mac.
Seem like he can play more of that position right there.
And I've theory crafted with Adam earlier today because the Bears had unofficially reported, I think all of this would always be unofficial. Caden McDonald is in for a top 30 visit with the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, I seen that. Seen that
And
on-
pop quiz, how many players did the Bears have from their 30 visits last year that they actually drafted?
Good question.
If the answer isn't 0, it's 1. And that would be
Right.
potentially Ruben Hippolyte. I genuinely can't remember.
I
All
thought
that
it
to
was-
say,
I thought it was 0.
right, I think it is 0, and I should probably, again, do the research.
Didn't they have
before I
Caleb
speak
come
on
in?
it. That's
that
2
wasn't
years
last
ago.
year. Never mind.
Yes. So again, that's a philosophical question, right? Does the general manager call the shots in the personnel department? If you think that Ryan Poles is calling the shots, he's clearly had top 30 visits where he's drafted the players. The Bears had Rome and Caleb in for top 30 visits. So there you go. But all that to say, if you are having top 30 visits with players that you're on the fence about, are you asking Caden McDonald, hey, you don't fit our scheme, Caden McDonald, you just don't. But we love what we see on film. Would you be willing to do this? How would you do this? If we put this in you in this situation, how would you react? How would you feel comfortable losing 15 pounds in your rookie year, all these things, right? If that's the conversation, he falls to you and you evaluate him and say he's the best talent on the board, I still say you take him and you try and figure it out. But
Well, first of all, I think with Gallimore, I think will make the team, answering
Adam.
Adam Mason.
yes,
I think he will make the team, but I view him, like Foster said, kind of like a replacement for Billings,
100%.
being a rotational piece. So therefore, bringing in McDonald, he can be the starter, and Gallimore, subs for him. But I believe the way Ben Johnson does it, like he proved last year to me, McDonald has to come in and earn it, because he's not just starting rookies right away. Show me that you can handle this, then I'll play you. Until then, Gallimore, you got the starting spot.
I would not question that philosophy, because what did it produce? It produced a very darn good tight end, a budding superstar and a wide receiver, a pretty good running back. Remains to be seen if he can continue to elevate as well. Hopefully our offensive line is not much worse without some premature retirement, if you will. What else did it develop? It developed a very good, it's on the tip of my tongue, left tackle. Everyone's favorite left tackle. Personally, my favorite left tackle in the NFL, Isaac Trapillo. That player developed as well after he was under a little bit of a fire, so to speak. So again, if you're going to make them earn it, and they do earn it, that's exactly how I would draw it up.
See, I don't think that it's under fire. This is old school football. You don't bring a rookie in and start him. You let him learn and talk to the veterans on that team, and you work them in. And that's exactly what they did. And that's how the NFL used to work when PJ and I were little kids, man. Nobody.
Hey. When I was little, when I was
little, and PJ was like a teenager or something, I don't know.
Something about that
I'm
timeline
not
still
saying
feels
you're
off.
800 years old, PJ.
Something about that timeline feels off there, Foster.
There was a comment on here I wanted to bring up, and now I can't find it. Oh, it was Robbie. Thanks for stopping in, Robbie. Changed his name. Robbie, good, better, best, NLIR. Robbie, come up. It's the same person, right?
NLIR, never let it rest. Wow, he's really leaning into it. Yeah, Ravi, come up. Welcome in, Ravi.
Ravi's my guy.
Does it ever work when you try to change a player into something he's not?
And Foster's just
that's a legit question.
Yeah,
it's a legit question, because that was the other thing, and there was one other one. Oh, I know what it was. Robbie's having PTSD over Shea McCollum. Don't want to do that. Don't want to do that one again.
Man.
Kind of a side conversation. I'm on TikTok a lot, and thankfully my feed gives me some Bears content every now and then. And I saw someone going around, I don't know if it was at a football game or what it was, but they were just asking people, like, who is the worst Chicago Bears football player that you've watched during your time as a fan? Overwhelming, the answers were Chris Conte. But Shea McClellan's one of those players where it's like, God, he sucks. And maybe no fault to his own, but
I can honestly say I think he was mismanaged.
Yeah, that seems fair.
I think he was mismanaged. They wanted to play him at defensive end, middle linebacker, outside linebacker. He was mismanaged. And he shouldn't have been the pick. The pick should have been Chandler Jones, because we was looking for a defensive end.
Learn something new every day. I totally didn't know that the Bears passed on Chandler Jones for Shea McClellan. Perfect.
You're talking about the worst. I'm with Mikey. Cade McNown.
I can't speak to that player. That was before my time, but I agree with you. Oh, you guys are so...
man.
I'm going to do something with this clip, Ron Jeremy here. I'm going to do something with this clip. Don't you worry. I got something cooked up. I'll release it later this week. Just to spite you, buddy.
Suggett brought up Bob Avellini. Now I saw almost every game Avellini played in, and that
way
was
back.
Talk about before
the
my time.
1975 Bears draft, where they drafted their entire starting backfield in that draft. It was Harper, Avellini, and I'm sorry, it was Peyton, Avellini, and Harper were all drafted in that draft. That was their starting backfield for 2 or 3 seasons. And he was slow and terrible, but Cade McNown was worse. At least Avellini had some games where he did. You know, there was one game where he threw a pass to end the game, and they actually won the game. I couldn't believe it because they never did it before. But he's up there on the list, Suggett. He's on the list, believe me. Believe me. Cutler, I think, is just underrated because that guy was tough as nails no matter what anybody says. He got the crap kicked out of him constantly.
Yeah, I mean,
He just
we
wasn't
had
the right mindset for this team, for the team that he was on.
Sure. We had a
Cedric
really
Benson.
weird, quick conversation about because we thought that the Bears roster was actually pretty talented on offense going into last year, and everyone was like, "Oh, this is the most talented offense I've ever seen the Bears have." Blah blah blah. I think that the skill position players that Cutler had for a very short period of time, again, Brandon Marshall, Alshon Jeffrey, Martellus Bennett, and Matt Forte,
Yeah,
it doesn't get much better than that if you're being honest. And maybe you could hold that over Cutler's head, say, "Oh, why couldn't you do more?" Well, go look at the Sunday Night Football intros of those football teams. That offensive line sucks. It was awful.
that's a continuous. Here, this was the other thing I wanted to bring up about Avellini, and even Peyton. So in '77, when all 3 of those guys were in the backfield together, it was Harper, Peyton, and Avellini. Nobody on that offensive line ever made a Pro Bowl, was a All-Pro or anything. None of those guys ever made. Not only that year, never made it. And there was some decent guys on that line. I'm sure you remember, Pete, but none of them were ever superstar fantastic ever, man. And that was. I mean, 77 was Peyton's unbelievable year where the guy was running for 200 yards every other game, if not, it just was insane. But
Behind a poor offensive line.
it was Peyton left, Peyton right, Peyton up the middle, throw the ball to Peyton, let Peyton throw a touchdown. That was the offense in 77. I remember it too well because I'm just shocked that they even made the playoffs that year and then they got smoked. When you don't have a team, you can't win.
A little bit before my time.
Yeah,
Just a
sorry.
little bit. Just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean that's what we're talking about. King Ron Jeremy, you got guys like Chester Taylor coming in to be the spell back. I mean they had some talent in those days. It's just they could not get the offensive line, and they were victims of nostalgia because Lord knows hindsight's 2020. That defense that Cutler was dealing with was also just god awful for the Bears. Even though it had big names, right? It had Urlacher, it had Briggs, it had maybe even Tommy Harris. I don't know. They tried to supplement it with Julius Peppers, but it just didn't work. Defense is too old.
I think Cutler's biggest problem, in my opinion, excuse me, he had to wait for the guy to be open before he threw the ball. He didn't anticipate it. You know how most good quarterbacks, see a guy, okay, I know this guy is going to be breaking open at this point in time, so I'm going to throw it. And by the time he turns his head around, maybe take one step, maybe the ball is right there. Yeah. Cutler has to wait till him actually get open, then he throws the ball.
In the general sense,
split-second anticipation.
In the general sense, I think that you're not wrong. But when Cutler needed to, and especially when he had Marshall and Jeffrey playing at their peak, for the Bears at least, he would put the ball not in harm's way, but he would try and put it in a spot where only his guy could get it, and those wide receivers were so darn good that they could go up and get it. So these deep ball throws that you see him make, I mean, I forgot how good they were. You go through that lull of quarterbacks, and I know we don't have to talk about our previous quarterback, but Trubisky and all these other guys, like there was a lull where they didn't have guys who could throw the ball down the field as good as Cutler. Cutler's a very good quarterback.
He was good, but I mean, because he had a very strong arm.
Exactly.
Very, very strong arm.
Yes.
But he still waited till the guy got open before he threw it. He didn't throw very many anticipatory throws. And that's one thing I noticed about his game. It's like when they do that in cut, they break open, be open on an in cut, then you hit them there. But as far as actually throwing the ball, like on the out, he was not very good with throwing the ball on the out because that involved while the guy's still going upfield throwing the ball, then he breaks out and then he can catch it. He didn't do a very good job of that. It was more of the like in cuts when a guy is wide open. Okay, let me throw it now.
Fair enough. Again,
much.
I would say before Caleb, Cutler's the best quarterback I watched for the Bears. You know, that isn't a very high bar, but still,
Dude,
very good quarterback in my opinion.
In the last 50 years, it's. I mean, the only other guy I'm going to throw in there is McMahon, and he just didn't play long enough. I wish McMahon was playing today because he would have been around longer.
Did you forget about Eric Kramer for that 1 year?
I did not forget about Eric Kramer, but I was just going to say that in the last 50 years, the top three quarterbacks, because I'm talking about you got to play for some time is McMahon and Cutler, and Caleb's on the verge of being in that too. I only say that because it's only been 2 seasons.
Yeah.
So, I'm a Kramer fan, man. I'm an Eric Kramer fan. The last game he played, I was at the last game he played as a Lion. I looked at my brother and I'm like, man, if we had this guy in the Bears, we could win some damn games, maybe even some playoff games. And then they literally got him 3 months after I said that. But, it all comes down to a lot of this.
I think
the coaching staff. When have we had good coaching staffs? You could pick them out.
When I look at
20 years.
When I look at the quarterbacks that we've had, I can say for sure that Caleb gives you the wow factor. The jury for me is still out on his throwing the ball on time. That to me, I mean, jury's still out. Sometimes he does it, sometimes he doesn't. So I'm iffy on that. But as far as a wow factor, he has a wow factor, absolutely. He make some plays that, man, makes me marvel at him. Man, that was some incredible throw. How did he see that guy? But my biggest thing is a quarterback takes a drop, be it 5-step, 3-step, whatever. As soon as he hit that back foot, release the ball and complete it. That's where that's what I look at as being a great quarterback. Now, have we ever had one? Not to my knowledge. I mean, there's been moments here and there that quarterbacks have done it, but consistently, I have never seen a Bears quarterback consistently hit the back foot, throw it, and complete it.
Technical difficulty here for me for a second, guys.
I'm hearing some Windows notifications.
It seemed like Orton got better once he went to Denver. Maybe it was a thin air, but
yeah,
I thought he played well in Denver.
They opened up the passing attack, in my opinion, for that guy as well. So I don't know. As far as their anticipatory throws and such, I mean, the Bears traditionally have always been this black and blue division, run the ball, play defense, have good special teams, take yourself to the Super Bowl with Devin Hester, all these things. They haven't ran an offense where it's like a West Coast offense. And I wouldn't even call Ben Johnson's offense West Coast per se, but it's so fresh and ingenuitive. And he clearly wants to run the football still, but it's with the intent of still having this elite passing attack to go with it. It's just a good offense is the only way I can really describe it. So
because it keeps the defense off
it's balanced.
Yeah, it's all
It's a balanced offense that wants to be 50% run, 50% pass, in addition to having a 2 tight end formation that's symmetrical and doesn't have any tells. If Brandon Malialiuna, that name came up, if he came up on the field, you're probably running the football. There's no jokes about it. And Mike Martz didn't care. He said, I'll lay it all out on the line. Just go out and stop it. Ben Johnson, maybe at times, he will go for it on 4th down, and he adopted that from his previous head coach, Dan Campbell. But aside from the aggression, scheme-wise, it's still very balanced. And I just did a show with Adam, and we did a March Madness bracket-style kind of exercise to say what was the best play from the Chicago Bears season. And one of the best plays that I watched was the throw from Caleb to DJ Moore to beat the Packers. not the overtime winner, but the one where it was like a pump fake to Luther Burden because they had ran that setup play earlier in the year or early in the game, and then it was essentially a wide open throw to DJ. It was still kind of a tight window. He got it to him. I
Down the
think
left
it was
side.
left side. It was.
Yeah.
I think it was the winner in the playoffs.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah, I just saw that the other night. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, really, really good play. But that type of offense, it's not just the quarterback is really good or DJ Moore is really good. It's all of the above. It was a well-designed play. And
Right.
all that to say, if you have an offensive guy like that who can do that, you don't necessarily need to say, okay, I want my quarterback to take 2 steps, throw the ball, run for yak, and we're going to do that 70 times a game. It's hogwash. Keep it balanced. Keep them off script. And there is no game, like, you're not going to develop your team to say, okay, we need to be able to throw the ball down the field and score 2 deep touchdowns every game to win a game. You can adapt on your opponent each week. It's a sign of a good coaching staff, in my opinion, because I feel like that's the first time I've seen that as my time as being a Chicago Bear fan.
Yeah,
Wow.
I don't know. I think that the way Ben Johnson calls plays, his plays, it may seem like trick plays, but they have sound blocking schemes behind them. And when you have a sound blocking scheme, that's the key. And for me, it's not like he's hoping that this player on the opposite team does this. He actually has a design to where he makes the defensive player do one thing or the other. And whatever he chooses not to do is the person that will then get the ball. So he puts them in conflict. He does a good job of putting guys in conflict. And I think therein lies the beauty of what he does compared to what Matt Nagy used to do. Matt Nagy is like, well, I hope that this defensive end doesn't rush up field and therefore I can get this play off. You can't operate. I seen Ben do that one time, and I forgot who was it got smoked. This guy, I think it was Burden or somebody, was got smoked coming in, and they didn't block somebody on the line, and the guy just shot right up the field and hit him right in the backfield. But for the most part, he covers that. And when you have a guy like that, you can have a mediocre quarterback, in my opinion, and still do well. Because Golf wasn't great until he got to Detroit and got exposed to him and simplified the game for him to where I think now he's one of the better quarterbacks. So I think that's what he's doing for Caleb. Not saying that Caleb doesn't have the potential. I just think that the way Johnson designed plays, he will make a mediocre quarterback look good, in my opinion.
That's a fair analysis. Again, I hate to be the guy to defend Jared Goff, but he was the first overall pick.
He was.
He did get his team. He wasn't the reason. He did not prevent his team from achieving a Super Bowl appearance. He was good enough to get you into Super Bowl, and clearly he wasn't good enough to overcome a very good Bill Belichick-led Patriots defense, and of course the GOAT Tom Brady on the other side. And that was a very ugly Super Bowl. Patriots won it. So
yes.
I think, and I wish that we had everyone's favorite Detroit Lions fan in the chat. I forgot their name. It's escaping me. Dan would know exactly who I'm talking about.
Lions fan?
O'Toole, I think is how you pronounce their name.
Oh, yeah. Okay. O'Toole, yeah.
He would say, oh, Sean McVay loved Jared Goff. He didn't want to get rid of him. That's a lie. That's a lie. Sean McVay wanted an upgrade, and he got an upgrade, and he was rewarded with a Super Bowl victory.
How was it not that obvious? I mean, he specifically went after Stafford for the one reason, because what he is.
Yeah.
I'll
never bash.
I wanted Stafford on the Bears for 10 years or longer. I was going, man, we got to get that guy, dude.
Yeah.
Meant to get him.
I'll never bash any of our fans. So if that's the sentiment that you have and you feel like you can back that up, whatever the case is, more power to you. At the end of the day, it was a very clear upgrade for the Rams, and it resulted in a Super Bowl. And for Jared Goff, talented player, what has he won?
A bunch
Absolutely
of money.
Yes, absolutely.
Bunch of money.
Sure. He's got a very attractive wife. Let's call that as it is too. Aside from
Don't
that,
get me started, Carl.
he could throw for a lot of yards. He's not
Just
going
get
to
me
win you
started,
very many
PJ.
playoff games. All this to say, and I'm losing my train of thought, the Bears have an upgrade at quarterback with Caleb Williams. And I think that the inflated stats that Jared Goff had in Detroit were very much so because of one Ben Johnson. So much to the point where Ben Johnson's offense was being led last year in Detroit without Ben Johnson even being there. They tried to hold on to that coattail as long as they could. And they failed. That's why they regressed. And I'd love to talk to New Breed about this to see what his opinion is. But what Ben Johnson can do with Caleb Williams is take a very good, talented player and make him even better. And that's why I'm very hopeful in about 2 years' time from now, we'll be talking about, oh, the salary cap's a little bit crazy now because Caleb Williams is making $70 million a year. Go ahead, do it. I don't care. He's that good.
Where's everybody getting that number from? I just got to ask.
It's because Dak Prescott's making 60, so it won't go to 70.
no,
That's
well,
just too big of a jump.
Carl, I'm being a smartass because about 2 months ago I said, yeah, when we're paying Caleb $70 million a year, and now I'm hearing it not just from us, I'm hearing it in other places too. They're like even some of the stuff on the West Coast. They say, "Well, you're going to pay him $70 million."
It warms my heart. It warms my heart when I see content and it starts off with Caleb Williams is underrated. Like, yeah, he is.
Well, for now he is. That's only temporary in my opinion.
Right,
there's just people that you got the people that don't want to admit it, what they're seeing. And then there's other people that just haven't paid enough attention. They're in their own, and I get it because I've done the same thing where I'm like, I don't know nothing about the Rams or the 49ers this year.
I'm really nervous of the Drew Dahlman retirement. I'm really freaking nervous about it, guys. So
That's fair.
I'm terrified of it.
It's fair to say I'm trying to just avoid that.
Yeah.
In my head, I'm gonna go, okay, you know what?
Yeah.
We know what Jackson and Tooney are. Bradbury was very, I don't know, Braxton Jonas. It's just a top.
Wow, 20. That's awesome. That's a perfect pull right there. I agree with that fully.
It's like top 25, like a 25 out of the 32. I'm just because that's where Braxton Jones is at in my. So, anyways, but he was very plain vanilla in Minnesota, and then last year he had a killer season. Go look at his stats and look at the play. Maybe some guys develop later. Maybe we're fortunate enough to get him to where he's just hitting his peak at 31 years old.
Well,
I'm talking about Bradbury.
I'm talking about Bradbury because he was another guy where they just threw him into the fire. He started as a rookie, man. And
he was a top 20 pick. I think he was like 18, 15 as a center.
But they threw him. They threw him right into the fire. What did he start? 9 games his rookie year.
But I think the problem with Bradbury is he's light and hasn't learned how to play with leverage. Maybe he did last year, but when he was in Minnesota, he didn't use the proper techniques to use his leverage.
But that's where I'm going, PJ. I agree with you 100%. I'm sorry.
I think
New England. Go ahead.
Yeah, they was able to bring it out, and I think what the Bears are also counting on, if I'm not mistaken, Bradbury and Tooney were teammates in college. So
they together.
So you got to try that until you find his replacement.
Well, the alternatives.
There's his replacement right there, Paige. I'm with Mikey.
Well,
we're gonna draft him.
And we're going to get into more mock drafts and stuff. I know we tried to do one last week. I don't think it turned out too well. No offense to you guys. It's just I think it's a little bit too early. I think this guy...
It's too early, and we were all kind of caught for stuff. PJ had to go.
Yes.
Shorty's going through his stuff. I got somebody showing up at 6 a.m, so
but
there's more factors into it. Sorry.
My point is just to kind of react to Relentless Mikey's comment. Hecht is awesome. But we're talking about having this player drafted at pick 70, which is what? Top of the 3rd round? What if this player goes in the first 10 picks in round 2? At this point, the way he's projecting, if he's the best center in the class and someone needs a center, you know what they say? It only takes one. So would you feel comfortable with taking him with your second round pick? Would you feel comfortable trading up for this player to replace Bradbury after you've already spent the draft capital to acquire Garrett Bradbury? I don't know if you can do that.
Question for you. What type of player is Hecht? Reason why I say that is because the Bears are looking for a center much like Dahlman, who's light, strong, and can move on his feet, because Dahlman wasn't very heavy. So if Hecht is smaller and more of a move or a zone type blocker, I could see it. If he's small and fast, yes. But if he's not, no.
So before I say anything, before I read anything, before I cheat, so to speak, and I'm gonna read off this profile for you in a second.
Okay.
I think that Hecht is exactly what you just described. A player who is born to play in a zone blocking scheme, who is a little bit lighter, who can move faster, do this, that, and the other, that tailors to a Ben Johnson scheme. So let me see if I can grab this write-up. Did they change their entire website? They did. Holy smokes.
It's just like this, though. It's BPA at this point for me for a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
Because and I, here I pulled up the centers list while you guys were talking. I'm just going, you know what? Love Hecht. I would love to see the Bears grab him if they can get him at 75 or whatever the pick is there. But looks like a fairly deep center class from the people that I'm looking at. And I haven't even found them up. Hecht, Connor Liu, Jake Slaughter, Jager Burden. And I'm going all the way into the late fourth and early fifth round there.
Well, Foster, let me help out.
Go ahead.
Foster, let me help out the audio listeners here. Again, you're looking at screen for the YouTube audience at PFSN's Pro Football. I don't even know what the acronym is. It's essentially Jacob Infante's
Football
platform.
Sports Network.
There you go. Thank you, Mr. Jacob Infante, for your contributions to this program as well. So, they write that Sam Hecht first joined the Kansas State Wildcats as a preferred walk-on in 2021, grew to become a 2-year starter and potentially an early 2026 NFL prospect at center. He is a 6'4", 300-pound lean center, and Hecht does have domineering size. He doesn't have the domineering size or power, rather. But instead, he wins with hyper-athleticism, positioning, and flexibility. In the run game, Hecht has the fleet-footed, explosive range to effortlessly traverse gaps and reach landmarks, and has the hip flexibility to flip around and seal while keeping control. Meanwhile, in pass pro, he's balanced, well-leveraged, patient, and synergetic, with the ability to play square and keep positioning, as well as pick up stunts. His hand strength is below average, and he can be outreached by longer defenders, but he compensates with quality leverage and effective anchor footwork. He projects best in a zone scheme where he can operate on the move and out in space. But he has the angle IQ, intelligence, athleticism to fulfill different roles, and has impact starter upside if he can up his play and strength. So again, if you told me that this is the description for what we saw out of Drew Dahlman in 2025, I'd say that's pretty spot on.
Do you have a draft thing? Can you go back and find the draft thing on Dahlman and see if it's similar?
Yeah.
Because
I can try and find that for you.
Because I'm thinking like that's what you just described there is the type of center that the Bears would want.
I fully agree.
Mikey knows. Relentless Mikey knows. He studies this stuff, man. And I that's one of the things I actually, believe it or not, in the draft, I started looking at centers and left tackles. That was like early. As soon as we found out Dahlman was gone, I was looking at left tackles first, just because I'm like, oh no, I was got all hyped. I'm like, we just got that together. Now we got to find another one. I'm going up, get Jude Bowery, another Boston guy. He's been he played left tackle the last 2 seasons out there, and he even played with when Ozzie was playing right. But so it's although this though too, Peach, you know what? I could see the Bears wait until later or even trading back. And if they can pick up like a 5th rounder, they could get. There's a guy, Jager Burton out of Kentucky. The guy not only is a center, but he's also played both guard and position. And I'm just trying to be in Pole's head.
Mhm.
It's a possible development of center and a guy who's got guard experience.
So
The numbers are there. The RAS score is good. Everything's good. He might not be your starting center today.
mhm. What do you think of
If
it?
not, you've got an instant backup guard, probably right guard.
What do you think of the guy from Michigan State that was a rookie last year? What do you think Poles is doing with him? Newman.
Can the University of Michigan fan answer first?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. I've said the same thing since they got him.
And let me get really, really bold for this one, okay? Again, I'm the Michigan fan talking about a player from Michigan State. If the plan is to have Luke Newman step in and fulfill the role of Joe Tooney as soon as Joe Tooney decides he doesn't want to play football anymore,
That's my thing.
I'm extremely comfortable with that plan.
Sure.
I would be extremely comfortable with having a player who got the opportunity to hopefully learn from from Joe Tooney for at least 2 years to step in and play left guard. Give him the shot. I think that would be a very capable player to kind of just see what you have. And again, moving forward in the draft, I'm never going to change. I think that the Bears should always attack the draft as best player available. And as soon as Joe Tooney hangs it up, or the year before, or whatever, if a left guard's sitting you right there and he's the best player on the board, then draft him. But you're probably not drafting a left guard, in the mid to late 20s. Ideally pick 32 because we continue to win Super Bowl after Super Bowl, right? Not drafting a left guard at 32 because I don't think that's good positional value. But if the best player's there, you take him. But I would feel comfortable, kind of like earlier how I said I would not feel comfortable with Shamar Turner being your starting defensive tackle, whatever it is. I'm the exact opposite. Very comfortable with Luke Newman being your starting left guard once Joe Tooney says he doesn't want to play anymore.
So let me.
Pete, I've been saying the exact same thing, so that's where I'm at. Makes it real simple. Thank you, Carl, for covering both bases.
Mm-hmm.
The young Foster and the old one.
I think though that it says a lot that for their playoff game, instead of starting Newman at left guard, they started Big Fat.
Correct me if I'm wrong. There might be an injury associated there too. I'll try and figure that out, but I'm not too sure.
I don't know about the injury. I'm just looking at. So McFadden is. Where did he come from?
Was he a UDFA?
I think so, but I don't think.
But I think he's only 26 years old. He's been there. He's been around the league for about 30 years.
Right. So
it looks.
I just think they way too experienced, and McFadden look good. That all he's gonna do is look good the couple weeks of practice, or okay, he's been the best over the last 2 or 3 weeks that we're looking at running everything properly. Blah blah blah. He's older. He's got more experience. I mean, and this is just a thought, Pete. I don't know. Maybe he is better than Newman, but what I saw in Newman, and then going back and looking at his stuff from Michigan State, I'm just like, heck, Poles could have this set up where Tooney's like, let's win a Super Bowl this year and I'm done, and you can take my money and go spend it elsewhere. So now it's covered. Could you see that even happen if Tooney's like, one more Super Bowl and I'm done?
Well,
I don't know.
He's
going to be 34 near the end of this season.
I don't necessarily see it. Just if he wins, I mean, you may want more because I don't think I'm easily turning down $16 million a year. I'm gonna forego this season and give up this $16 million a year I'm already make. Oh wait, I can miss training camp, report late, and still get my. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I'll do that.
That's
what if I flip sided the conversation or the point that PJ made earlier, said, oh, we're banking on Garrett Bradbury being elevated by his former college teammate. What if you went out and got Garrett Bradbury to make sure that Joe Tooney sticks around himself? I mean, it's a thought.
That's
not a bad idea.
These are all interesting concepts that
possibilities.
It's all. We're Shorty, man. It's a pontification of
Yeah.
options at this future or history time. Oh, look at. Oh no, he's not there. I thought I just saw him, but I scrolled up because we keep talking about Don Burr. Now I'm afraid he's going to appear.
So for the record, Luke Newman was placed on injured reserve on November 27th, 2025, due to a foot injury, and he missed 4 games. He was activated from injury reserve on December 25th, 2025, ahead of the Week 17 game against the 49ers. So I would say it's probably a fair assessment to say, okay, Jordan McFadden has not been injured. Let's bring him in. And I think at the end of the day, the true testament should be how did you get a playoff starter limped all the way along on your practice squad? That's a magical job to carry a playoff starter on your practice squad for the entire year.
That's a good GM.
Yes. And he got signed to a contract for the record, and I'm projecting him to make the final 53 in 2026. That being Jordan McFadden, just for the record.
See, a lot of that kind of stuff. This is like it's the coaching. They're more in tune with these coaches, the player, I mean, or vice versa, because we just having great coaching so critical.
I think that offensive line coach done a wonderful job last year. Yeah. I think he did a fantastic job.
There was one
do you guys remember prior to last season, prior to this past season, when we were going, oh man, we were sitting here on this panel and people were going, oh, I don't know, man. Look at how bad Jonah Jackson was with the Rams last year. And I'm not kidding. I don't know if you remember this. It was like, so what do we got? Wright and Tooney is what we were sitting here talking about at one point in time last year. We're in a much better position this year.
Well,
because we're not. Well, no, because not only was it that, it was we had Wright and Tooney, and we all sat here, and this is before we signed Dahlman. And even when we signed Dahlman, there were still some concerns, probably not as many as there is now. But at that point in time, and this is probably a year ago, we had Wright. We made the trade for Tooney because we didn't sign Dahlman yet. And then we had no left tackle. I'm just saying, we had no center and no left tackle about a year ago at this time. Well, so now we know we've got a right tackle, a right guard. We've got a left guard, and then we've hopefully filled the position.
Are you talking a year ago after free agency? Because we signed. No, this is currently after free agency. That's what I'm saying.
I should say in January last year is what I should be saying.
Right, prior to
after the season.
Okay.
But it's still
free agency. Before free agency, we traded for our guards. We traded for Jonah Jackson. We traded for Joe Tooney. So I hear Foster's point loud and clear.
Sorry.
It also needs to not go without being said, in my opinion, that there was some talk about, with the uncertainty of what Jonah Jackson was, let's kick old Darnell Wright into guard. All these things, right? That's a football player where I have no doubts at all whatsoever. Darnell Wright, lockdown right tackle, very comfortable with it. I just hope he doesn't play too good because it's going to get to the stratosphere of him becoming the highest paid right tackle in the NFL, potentially. It's a little bit scary when you're trying to pay a quarterback $70 million a year. But that's another football player where your right tackle situation I'm extremely happy with and would be devastated if some sort of injury or something else was to happen. That would be bad. Important player is my point here.
Do you think, either one of you, that it's out of the realm of possibility that Wright may get eventually moved to left tackle?
It should be. I don't know if it's out of the realm of possibility, but I feel like it should be.
Yeah. Yeah, I exactly the same, PJ. Same way.
Yeah, I wouldn't move him to left. You don't mess with success.
He's your right tackle for another decade, hopefully.
Yeah.
When he gets into the second contract.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. We know exactly what he is.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying. I just wonder if Ozzie comes back.
Yeah.
And he actually is better at right than he is at left.
Right.
would that switch be made? I just wonder. I'm not saying I'm hoping. I'm not saying I think it will. I'm just saying I wonder.
I was comfortable with what I saw out of Ozzy Trapilla at left tackle.
Yeah.
Everyone on the panel knows Ozzy Trapilla is my favorite player in the history of football, right?
Mhm.
Ozzy Trapilla hopefully can return.
Whoa.
Do we not remember Ozzy playing right tackle? And
No, that's not what we're talking about.
Game and not
We're
doing
talking
as
about
well,
somebody being a meat writer.
Oh, second fiddle to Josh Blackwell, of course. Let's not get that twisted.
Good
But
night,
you know what I'm trying to say. Ozzy Trapilla at left tackle, fine. He was good. He wasn't great, and that's fine. He was a rookie. But with the injury, I'm skeptical that he'll ever be able to get back to that good. But if Ozzy Trapilla is good at left tackle and Darnell Wright is elite at right tackle, you keep it exactly like that. Perfect. Well said, Adam. That's what you do. So, again, we've gotten 90 minutes into this thing, and I keep preaching best player available. I heard you when I was dropping the kids off at the pool that we went to the Alabama Pro Day. We watched Caden Proctor, and Caden Proctor looked good. Okay, if Caden Proctor's the best player available at 25 at left tackle, maybe you do that. I'm a little less bullish on that now because of Jedrick Wills, though. I think that Jedrick Wills is not an original thought of mine. I heard this again on TikTok. Someone called him a lottery ticket. I like calling Jedrick Wills the lottery ticket because you got a top 10 pick at left tackle, has the makings of a very good football player, assuming that the injury stuff is done and over with. But you don't know about that.
Did the kid say the water was cold?
Oh, it's freezing.
Oh.
There's barely any water left for them, though. Anyway,
it's terrible.
It is terrible.
And at least it's not as bad as Shorty stuff.
Should the first chat poll of the night be, was Carl sitting or standing to drop the kids off at the pool? Like, what are we doing here? Can't get a damn chat poll here.
Yeah, well,
too much. It's too much.
Excuse me.
What the hell? Okay. Tim Keenum at Alabama's Pro Day. Well, Adam Mason, who is Tim Keenum? Does this silly website not allow you to search for players? What if you go to all? There it is.
Were you looking for the
Tim Keenan is a defensive tackle.
the Alabama Pro Day?
Yes. Tim Keenan the third, 6'2", 326 pounds. It appears that he's a very powerful, explosive defensive tackle who is lacking flexibility and hand usage / rush execution. Again, all courtesy of ProFootballNetwork.com.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, they've really overhauled their website, I must say. I don't know if Jacob Infante wants to grace us with his time in exchange for all these lovely comments about his platform, but man, very on par with Pro Football Focus, if you will.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That was the whole goal because they were lacking. I'm talking about PFSN.
This will be a good chat poll, I think. I'm going to put this in the chat poll maybe as I'm asking you guys. So the question I'll ask you, gentlemen, is how many defensive line, and when I say defensive line, I mean DT and or defensive end, should the Bears draft? So that would start with 0, 1, 2, or 3+. Again, the question very simple. How many defensive linemen should the Chicago Bears draft in this year's draft? Doesn't matter if it's defensive tackle, defensive end, both, either.
Right.
How many do you guys think?
I think they should draft one of each. Defensive line.
So two.
Yeah.
How alarming would it be for you guys if they only came away with 1, or even if they came away with 0?
I would be concerned. I want to know why. I want to know why.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think Poles did a good job of addressing the O-line last year. He came in right away Ben Johnson came in right away, and I guess let Poles know what he wants, what he's looking for. Poles took care of it. Two trades and a free agent signing right away, and then drafted one in the second round. So he took care of business for the offensive line. So if Dennis Allen is saying, "Hey, I need some defensive linemen," I would like to think Poles can address it the same way. So, seeing as though he didn't do much in free agency, I mean, he got some what I consider maybe some second tier player in what's the guy's name again? The defense tackle.
So they signed Neville Gallimore from the Colts.
Gallimore.
They signed Contavious Street, who played for the Eagles, played for
he may not make the team.
Falcons. Exactly, he might
Street,
not make the team.
Gallimore, Lynch.
Yeah, Lynch, and we haven't talked about Lynch up to this point. I'm kind of sneakily excited about Lynch.
I am
and
too.
Again, these don't move the needle per se, but I do think that they raise the floor, which is important.
Yeah, like Steve Rogers said, they're all backups. So them being all backups, I fully expect out of the 3 picks in the first 2 rounds for the Bears, to your point, Carl, to draft 2 defensive linemen within those first 3 picks.
Yeah. Again, I don't necessarily care about the player if you draft BPA. I just kind of sure hope that one of them ends up being a defensive lineman. But like, what if they only draft a defensive tackle in the 4th round, and they don't do anything else?
I would be disappointed. I would be disappointed.
Would you be like scared though? Do you think that the defense could be competitive?
I think they'd be like they were last year, probably a little bit less
without the turnovers.
You don't have the run stuffer in Billings.
He better be able to draft better than Dexter and Pickens.
Yeah,
that's my whole thing. And if they're taking a defensive end or tackle in the 4th round, I just want to know why. Do they know what did they just do that they're doing? They're taking that big of a need. I gotta assume it's a big enough need for them. They know they're getting run over. They know the pressure up the middle is not good.
Yeah,
everybody can't be blind to that fact. I mean, I just don't see it though, Carl. I see him. Like PJ said, I could see them definitely taking an edge and a tackle or 2 tackles in those first 4 picks.
Yeah, I can't really make heads or tails of Cody Denton in the chat. It feels like Cody Denton and me are on the same page, though. You don't necessarily want to reach for players just because it's a fit, right? I kind of like reaching for scheme fits on day 3 of the draft, right? Like, if they end up being right about Ruben Hippolyte, which I really hope that they are, awesome. Mm-hmm. That's a big screw you to everyone else who said, I told you so, right? No one's talking about Ruben Hippolyte. We still think it was a reach. We still think he's a bust. But if he comes out and ends up being a very good player for you, it doesn't matter where he was picked.
True.
So, so I get you're spot on. BPA, best player available, does not equal need. So,
but I just want to go with Mike. I mean, there's just go to your PFSN and pull up defensive ends and defensive tackles. And look at the list of the names, and then at least even read into these. It seems like there's many good fits for the Bears scheme in the top 100 picks. It appears.
Yeah, I think though that your best player available is according to your team needs. And okay, for an example, if that quarterback from Indiana, is it, somehow drops to 25 by glorious chance.
And there's no Caleb Williams on the Bears.
No, there is a Caleb Williams on the. So
I got you.
Do you now draft him because he's the best player available, or do you draft somebody else at a position of need?
you'd really have to have a super special situation, right? So I'm looking at the actual
Trade.
players. I don't think that PJ's analysis of Mendoza is wise, just for the simple sake that we're talking about the Oakland Raiders. They're going to reach, they're going to take that quarterback. It's just, he will not fall. It's not even worth talking. The quarterback out of Alabama, named Ty Simpson, is a little bit more of a polarizing prospect. Ty Simpson, okay, and again, this is probably not realistic either. So PFSN has it like this, okay? Mendoza, I don't know where they have him ranked. Ty Simpson is their 33rd best player ranked. The third quarterback, Garrett Nussmeier, is the 126th ranked. So what that's telling me is that Ty Simpson's going to go in the first round. He's going to go a lot higher than anyone thought. And just because of everyone needs a quarterback and you reach, right? But let's say the second best quarterback on your board as you evaluate falls to your second round. Maybe, just maybe, I don't know. I think it's too awkward of a situation to try and conjure up. Then you're talking about shipping out Tyson Bagent for literal nothing. It doesn't make sense. So yeah, it's always best player available within reason. But there isn't a situation aside from the quarterback that really, well, there is. And
Dude,
this
did the Bears have to draft Luther Burden last year when they drafted him? Was that a must-fill need? I'm just going to break the ice on all this stuff.
It was a need. It was a need to a point, because depending on how you felt about Olamide Zaccheaus, you needed a wide receiver 3, a slot receiver who was potentially playing a lot, or you need a wide receiver 4. So pick 39 is rich to fill that position, but it was a need.
I'm just throwing it out there, man, because it's
there's
only two ways of thought on that. Best player available or best player available for your needs. I don't see any other, right? Do you guys disagree with that? That it's either best player available or best player available for the team needs.
That's what I think. Best player
Those are the
available
two
for the
options.
team.
So
no, sometimes you're gonna stick to your guns and you're gonna try and fit the round peg into the square hole like McClellan, Shea McClellan.
I don't. More times than not, you're going to do that. That's why you have the problem you have when you're with the drafts. Because I think if you just took the best player available, now you've got to figure out who you're moving.
Right, but here's where it gets awkward. It's a little bit more realistic. PJ, who did we trade away to the Bills this year?
The best wide receiver we had on the team.
Right, so you're kind of leading into my question. We do have a massive hole at wide receiver in theory. I think that everyone's going to go up the ladder, but PJ will be the first to tell you that DJ Moore is a big void of talent that you no longer have on your football team. What if the best player on the board at 25 is Jordan Tyson, a wide receiver? You don't need it, but again, if that's the best player on the board, shit, man, you're kind of right back at it.
Well, I think that therein lies the issue. I mean, even let's say the best player on your board at 25 is a guard. Did you take the guard, seeing as though you already have 2 guards? Let's say the best player on the board is a right tackle and the right tackle only. Do you take him? No. So I think best player available is always comes down to best player available for what that team needs. So it's just not a flat out just best player available. It's like you're not taking a right tackle in the first round as long as you got Darnell Wright healthy and playing well. You're not taking a quarterback in the first round as long as you got Caleb Williams playing well and healthy. So I can't say that's why when I hear people say best player available, it's always best player available according to need, because you're not just you can't make that blanket statement, in my opinion.
Yeah, I guess you are right. It's more so, I don't know. It's hard to argue against that. So I just don't see a logical situation where the best players available at pick 25 will be a wide receiver, a right tackle, and then no one else that is any sort of need for your football team. Because I think in that range, if Jordan Tyson's available, if one of those offensive tackle, whichever one plays right tackle out of Utah, if they're available too, but they play right tackle, can you have that player play left tackle? Maybe. I would still look at the other positions of need then at that point. Defensive tackle. Is Peter Woods available there? Well, we think that Peter Woods is ever so slightly worse than these two players, but we can't trade down, right? Someone just brought that up in chat. Who said that? Where'd that go? Right here. Mr. Tony Moy. How's it going, Tony? Says trade back if possible then. Yeah, that's exactly what you would do. Because kind of like what the Bears tried to do, they said, hey, we really like whatever his name is. The running back out of Ohio State, Travion Henderson. Travion Henderson.
Oh, yeah, Henderson.
And they said, okay, we want Travion Henderson. We'll try and trade up. They couldn't trade up. They had their draft trade denied to move up one slot. Patriots sniped the player that they wanted. Okay, we'll settle for Luther Burden. And I'm sure they tried to trade out of the pick at that point, but it got to the point where it's like, hey, we literally tried to trade up. It's getting long in the tooth as far as our draft clock. We need to make a selection. Just take the best player available. I don't know. There's quite a lot that goes into it, and then just from an anxiety standpoint, I'm happy that I don't have to be the human responsible for making that pick. But
well, I think in that example, Carl, the fact that the Bears had a number 3 in Zacchaeus, so they wasn't necessarily looking for a number 3 receiver. It's just that Burden fell to them, and they were like, you know what, Zacchaeus is only here for 1 year, and yeah, so we're going to need somebody. So yeah, let me go ahead and draft him. So they drafted Burden, being the best player available. So they took him, and he performed, I think, better than expected. So now they're in the conversation of, well, maybe he can take the place of DJ Moore and alleviate some of our money issues. So I mean, to me, like I said, it comes down to best player available at a position of need.
I'm starting to get a. Sorry, Foster.
No, it's just this. It's so they did that because first off, Burden should have never been there to take. They knew they stole him. Second off, you've got it all worked out. You're hoping. Poles is hoping that his defensive fills, Jarrett and Dale, are what he's buying into. That doesn't work out. Okay, now I've got to go to plan B because that didn't work out. And you're forced, DJ's put in that position because that's the contract. That's the way that it has to work to free up that money or you're screwed. So, I mean, I'm saying this. I'm saying Poles is ahead on this stuff. Somebody in the chat even said he likes some of the vanilla moves that Poles make to just set things up. I think it was Steve. It's somewhere in there about vanilla. I like the vanilla moves that he makes.
I don't know, man. I kind of disagree with that, Foster, because if he was ahead of it,
him, you want to keep him, but that's not always going to happen. What you want. The way that contract would have been great to have for long term for the Bears. For anything.
DJ Moore was only 1 year into that contract. Because he was only 1 year into that contract, you making that trade. To me, if that contract was such a problem, you don't make that contract. That's what I believe. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, for him to make that contract, then a year later, you having to trade that contract because it's too much and you can't work it into what you're trying to do, you shouldn't have made that contract.
You had a different philosophy for the record.
The Jared and Dale money, the way that worked out, and that didn't provide what they were looking for.
Yeah.
And they're never going to get, like if say one of those guys, either one of those guys, if they played adequately enough, then maybe you got somebody else to potentially trade. They both failed in the long term.
Yeah.
So now he's stuck in the position, and I'm not saying this because I'm a DJ fan. I'm right with you, Pete. They traded their number one wide receiver. I don't care what anybody says. The Bears did.
Yeah.
In my mind, there's no doubt that I'm right.
Yeah.
But you're stuck in that position. Okay, well, you know what? Odunze better grow. Let's just get Odunze's hands to catch the ball more. That's my opinion on that. And Burden, I think Burden's going to be the best out of all three of them in the long run.
Yeah.
That's why you make that move. Because Burden is your DJ and better, possibly. And then with what Colston turned into in year one, all right, this sucks, but I'm stuck in this position. I've got to make a move because what I did, the money I spent on Dale and Jared failed. And that's the move I was stuck making. I get what
Well,
you're saying, Pete.
well, honestly, and I'm not saying this because I said it at the time. I thought both of those that you mentioned were bad deals in the first place. Getting Jared
You
as
did
well
say
as
that.
getting Dale. I said it at the time. I mean, I thought those was bad signings. So again, I'm not trying to batter polls because he has done some pretty decent things, but Dale, he didn't show me enough to warrant that contract to begin with. Period. And to give him that much money, and then when you want to short sight it by only paying him $8 million the first year, to now you got to pay him what, 20 million this year, I believe. And that's why you can't trade him, you can't cut him because come on, that's not smart. I'm sorry, that's just not smart.
And keep
Wait,
in
totally
mind
agree,
too.
PJ. I totally agree. At the time, I was more of the high hopes way. Well, they're paying him the money now because what he's going to be this year, and that's what polls saw and people saw. But we know what happened. It just didn't happen, man. And
Yeah,
as far as Jared, and I said this, and I'll stop saying it. Go look at the last 6 games he played. There was an injury thing all year, whatever it was, in the last 6 games were way better. And if he had a little better help around him, who knows, man? Who knows?
So just keep this in mind too. DJ Moore was signed by the Chicago Bears to be their most expensive player in franchise history at a time before there was a massive philosophy change with the way that the roster was construction. Because I would dare to say, and I haven't looked this up, I'm sure I'm wrong, but maybe I'm right in the sense that any of Joe Tooney, Drew Dahlman, and Jonah Jackson, just their annual salary alone, probably was at the very most, or at the very least, equal to the total salary of the previous year's two guards and center combined, right? I literally can't even remember the players, but call it Tevin Jenkins, Cody Whitehair, and oh, you know what? Was the right guard Nate Davis? Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe Nate Davis was making a lot of money and he just sucked and he wasn't on the team. But whatever the case was,
For sure.
your starters were combined making less money than any of Drew Dahlman, Jonah Jackson, or Joe Tooney. And you brought all three of them in. So you put a lot more money invested into the offensive line, and the previous general manager and their previous coaching staff, the general manager with the previous coaching staff, rather, paid that wide receiver before that shift. So it necessarily wasn't a mismanage of money. It was like a philosophical change. And at the end of the day, these wide receivers are making insane money. And if you believe in the quarterback, you're going to have to try and go the cheapo route. Because as soon as you get one decent wide receiver named Jackson Smith and Jigba have one good season, they're going to reset the market and make $42 million a year. So DJ Moore on 25, 26, whatever it is a year, that's a good contract at the end of the day.
yeah. I think if you go back to history, you look at uh, if you look at when I think DJ was signed to that contract, wasn't it after we drafted Rome?
Yeah, yes, maybe.
So the point I'm making is again, if you drafted Rome and you have DJ, you're signing DJ to that contract, and then a year later, you're saying that contract is too much. You're saying it's too much, and you have to get rid of it. That to me is not being smart with it. I mean, again, even with Dale, like I said, you're signing Dale. He did make that much money because he was on his rookie contract in Indianapolis, but you're paying him $14 million a year, and that equated to $8 million the first year, and now $20 million the second year. $20 million against the cap in 1 year for a player when you signed him at that time was unproven, not smart. You're muted, Foster.
Dale.
No, I'm just going. I can't disagree. I didn't want to say it out loud because that's about what I did. I stuttered. It stinks.
Yeah,
You
I mean,
you mess up, man.
I think the Deo contract was a roll of the dice. It was probably a player
Absolutely.
where, again, I'm not a fan of these players who are not very good at one specific thing and instead have this like transitional positional value where they're okay at edge, okay at defensive tackle. Just sign a player who's dominant at one specific thing, please. But again, you roll the dice on him, and you do have this safety hatch, I'll call it, where yes, PJ's right. It's $20.5 million cap hit in 2026 for Deo Dangbo. But if you cut him next year, the dead cap pre June 1st is only $4.5 million. Obviously, you'd rather be paying the player the contract you gave him because you believed he was the guy. But you can get out of this contract. You just have to take it on the chin one more year. And the sad part about all of this, whether he wasn't playing good or not in those first 4 games, he didn't have a chance to grow into the scheme because of the damn Achilles injury. And the Achilles injury may have robbed him of his explosiveness. We might never know. So it's a darn shame. I don't really hold it over Deo's head like I do against Drew Dahlman. Drew Dahlman made the choice. Deo didn't choose to tear his Achilles. But again, looks like a bad signing. Hopefully we're able to salvage something out of it. Remains to be seen.
Yeah, I personally just always think it's bad GMing, for the lack of a better term. When you see a guy sign, then the very next year, they either asking him to restructure his contract. I'm like, bro, you literally just signed him last year and you already asking him to restructure his contract. That to me is bad GMing. My opinion, that's what I think.
And to be clear, we have not asked anyone to be restructured.
Agreed.
If they go out and do that,
We
then
just traded
I'd
him.
have to agree with you.
We just traded him.
DJ Moore.
Yeah.
Well, I think the writing was on the wall with that one. Again, when you spend 3 draft picks in the top 40 in back-to-back years, that being Roma Dunze, Luther Burden, Colson Loveland, there's only one football. So, regardless of what you think of DJ Moore, he was just the guy that was making the most. So the Bears have decided that they want to pay a lot of money into their offensive line, and they want to go the cheap route because regardless of what you think of whatever you think of Luther Burden, Colson Loveland, Roma Dunze, they're on rookie contracts. They're relatively much cheaper.
So again, my argument would be, if I know I have DJ Moore and I thought he was worth this money, my best player available may not be Luther Burden at 39. It'd probably have to be somebody else.
I mean, Luther was there.
I'll never have the pleasure of asking Ryan Poles or Ben Johnson this question, but if some stroke of luck I did, I'd ask them straight up. I'd say, if you were the Panthers, would you have drafted Luther Burden in the pick that they drafted Teteroa McMillan with? And I bet they'd say, yeah, I would have taken him 8th overall, whatever it was. Because I think that's the best wide receiver in the draft class.
Yeah. I can see it. It's a no. Sorry, guys.
What's Mr. Howie R. Bear saying in chat here? He says, true or false? Every team can do 2 post-June 1st cuts trades per year. So we can post cuts Deo and Grady or TJ Edwards. I can get you some numbers. You said post June 1st?
I thought they can only do 1 post June 1st cut.
So as it pertains to Deo Dangbo in 2026 or 2027, there is virtually no change in the dates. So pre and post June 1st, if you were to cut Deo Dangbo in 2027, it would be attached with a $4.5 million dead cap hit and $15 million saved. You could have saved $350K if you cut him post June 1st. And hell, my God, if you're willing to take $20 million dead cap, you could cut him. That'd have to be pre-June 1st, actually, to save $4 million, because if you do it post-June 1st, it's only $500K. So, yeah.
Where's
Yeah,
Cliff Stein
it's
when you need him?
yeah. Next week we'll have Matt Feinstein as our special guest.
Yeah.
Hey, there was a couple more questions, Carl. Did you start some or I did? If you
Yeah.
guys want to look at
Yeah.
them.
Let's just knock out the queue as we've got it. I mean, Tony Moy a little bit ago, hour ago, asked, "You guys think Karan will be cut if we draft another offensive lineman because we re-signed McFadden?" I'd be so bold to say if the Bears did not even draft an offensive lineman, that Karan's ability to make this roster in 2026 is very slim. I don't know if that player has much longevity left in this entire NFL at this point. I don't know.
I would say questionable. And I'm
Very
a
diplomatic
I'm
of you.
I'm a Gaji fan. I hope he does make the team. I actually hope he be our starting left tackle. But at this point, I think it'll be questionable if he makes the team.
Yeah, and it is questionable for sure.
So
You've got bodies there. You might have another one or two before it's said and done.
just to be straight up about it, I mean, would you guys rather have Jordan McFadden or Karan Amagaji on the football team if you had to choose one or the other?
The Bears specifically resigned McFadden, so I'm going to just take what they're doing as the statement. There's a reason they signed him. He did play in the Rams game. Didn't he work out well in that Rams game for him? Because now I can't remember.
I think he got hurt. Towards the end of the first half. And played the whole second half hurt. I think I've seen a report of that. But to answer that question, it depends on where I want him at. Because I still think Karan is a tackle, and I think McFadden's a guard.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean that is an evaluation you have to have, but in an absolute vacuum, right? You have your depth at guard and tackle, and you already have 52 players making the roster. 53rd player on the roster, tackles. You can only pick one.
Yeah, we got 5 potential left tackles on the roster right now. 5 potential left tackles.
Well, he's talking about Joe Tooney, I'm assuming.
No, isn't it? Give me names.
You've got
Ozzy.
You got Ozzy Trapillo. You've got Theo Benedict.
Don't even count Ozzy. You got Wills. Don't count Ozzy. Wills.
Braxton Jones.
Karan, Braxton Jones.
And Benedict.
So it's 4. And then you could throw Tooney in there for 5 in a pinch. So they'll bring somebody else into it. It's a competition at this point, I think, the left tackle. We all know it is. But a lot of people, and myself included, are actually expecting Wills based on what I saw in his 2024 season with Cleveland. Anybody see any of that, all 22? Or even any highlights or footage of Wills Jr. with the Browns?
I'll be honest, Foster, I haven't watched in-depth all 22 on the player directly, but I've heard good things, and he was voted to the all-rookie team. He's a top 10 draft pick. He's clearly talented.
Right. Well, that's why everybody's saying you've seen it. They've got him already plugged in at left tackle, man. Maybe you haven't. Tony Moy running up the questions, and then a couple from Steve, one from Steve and Suggett.
Yeah. So, how about this? Let's skip on Tony Moy's question about those 3 because I kind of want that to be another chat poll. I'll spin that in a fun way. I'll bring up Pat Cogan in a second for you there, Steve Rogers. But what about Mr. Suggett? He asks how many guys do we got on 1-year deals?
10,
I thought that
12.
the question originally was more so why are guys getting 1-year deals? And my thought on the process was because this gosh darn salary cap continues to spike so much year after year after year, these guys who are coming after their rookie year, yes, they want to be able to have a future and sign that big contract, right? That's always the goal for a player is to sign their first big contract after their rookie year. Some of these guys want to sign 2 of those types of deals. So they'll say, hey, I'm 24 years old. Let me sign a 3-year deal and I'll be 27. and I'll get one more shot at it once the silly salary cap is so much higher. Maybe that's the idea too, as well. Offensive line depth chart, you say?
Too many reasons. It's a combination of that, and then are these guys okay? Because maybe you're even just looking. All right, this is their plate. So a bunch of them are going to be placeholders, man. How many guys get 1-year contract and they're gone the following year?
Yeah,
it just happens. The key is that was a guy at one point in time. I said I wouldn't even mind if they brought him back, because then I know if there's an injury, I know we're better at wide receiver. You would have had, Odunze, Burton, Zacchaeus, and Jade Walker. I mean, that was our 4 wide receivers going in. That's all.
What did
so it's, the answer though? Wait, the answer, Sugget, is 10 or 13 deals. I just read it.
What did Elijah Hicks get? Was it a 1-year deal?
Yeah,
1-year deal.
So.
A lot of these guys on special teams are going to continue to live and die. So, like, again, the Bears are kind of telling you how they feel about their special teams operations, right? They re-signed Elijah Hicks to a 1-year deal. They re-signed Jalen Jones to a 1-year deal. But previously, they signed Josh Blackwell, everyone's favorite player, to a 2-year deal. So, again, they're a little bit more confident in these special teamers in that sense.
Point of order. I don't know if Blackwell's their favorite player.
Not compared to me. He's my favorite, PG. Definitely mine.
He's got to make a. I'm going. Why is he doing point of order? This must be important shit. Not.
Hey.
Yeah, exactly, Adam. Daniel Hardy gets his 2-year deal as well. So your core special teamers, right? Your special teamers, they'll get 2-year deals.
Top tier. Here's some names on it. Sanborn's got a 1-year deal. James Lynch, Kentavious Street, Khalif Raymond, Jedrick Wills. There's some of them.
Yeah, I think a lot of those names you just said are going to make the roster. I think Street may be one of the most least likely to, but who knows? I mean, we brought in guys last year like Tano Passigno and that Flowers cornerback. Oh, they're locks for the roster. They're veterans. Yeah. They're locks with Dennis Allen schemes. They'll be here. They'll be here all year. Maybe Passigno will give you a couple starts and then you cut them. So,
Saranara.
You got your 53-man roster, but it's so fluid. That's why it's more important to probably focus on the core 40.
Yeah.
The Bears' core 40 is really close. I still think you have to add to it with your really high draft picks, obviously.
DTs. The end.
Yeah.
Safety. And that's only because, the situation here.
All right. I think I've given the pick of Jordan McFadden versus Karan Amagaji in F-Light. 70% are going with Jordan McFadden. Let's do one more here, and it's one of Tony Moy's final questions. He had asked us, will Roshan Johnson, Karan Amagaji, or Noah Sewell, unless he's talking about Sewell's brother, who I can't pronounce their name, if either of them will be cut? I'd like to frame it in the sense that, of those 3 players, which one is most likely to make the roster, if any?
Hey, Peach, are you ready? Because I know you got stuff you got to do.
Yeah, I got to take off.
So I don't know if you wanted any final thoughts before you got to roll and take care of the important things.
Well, I will say that out of that group, I think if you're talking about the brother Sewell, he might be the one to get cut before anybody. If you're talking about Noah Sewell, I think Roshan may be cut before him. I think Karan, he'll probably be the last one cut out of that group, in my opinion, simply because when I hear that the offensive line coach say that he's very high in talent, makes me wonder whether or not he still want to work with him. But again, that's my opinion. So yeah, guys, I appreciate it, man. It was fun. Again, thank you, Carl. Thank you, Foster. Appreciate you guys. And Guys in the chat, all of you, I hope you have a beautiful night. Be kind to each other, be kind to yourselves, and love, peace, and hair grease.
All right,
Beautiful
Pete.
message.
Stay safe, man.
Stay in
Thank you.
touch, PJ. I don't know if we'll be
Thanks.
doing some members only content to talk about what we discussed in the private chat here, but we'll see. We'll keep it on the down low.
Easy, Carl. Easy, bro. Look at his eyebrows, so Foster. Look at, we're not keeping nothing on the down low, bro.
No, he's
Hey,
not.
yo!
He's probably ready to go back and dump another load of kids in the swimming pool.
Whoa!
Loaf.
Golly.
Later, Peach.
Later,
Our
fellas.
pleasure, sir. Our
Peace
pleasure.
out, gentlemen.
Oh,
Yeah, that PJ,
What, you
I don't
getting
know.
rid of
Maybe
me
have some.
too?
What's
he
that?
says peace. He said peace out, gentlemen. I'm like, he's getting rid of me too, man. Oh, there we go. It's the Carl show. The fucking Carl show.
Wow. I don't want it. It's too much pressure. It's too much pressure. Stop.
Leave it like this. Leave it like this, man.
Roshan is mediocre, he says. Interesting.
Well,
Interesting.
my thought on that question, because that was Tony Moy, right? Tony
Yeah.
Moy's question.
Yeah.
I am with Peach. If it's is his name Nephi? Because there's three of them. I
Yeah.
can't remember.
Nephi, but he's talking about Noah Sewell, our
Okay.
draft pick.
Okay. So I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say the last one cut will be Karan because there's just a wide open competition right now for left tackle. So they're gonna see that out. Roshan probably be the first cut. I think
Let me,
because he's been around longer, and you know I'm just and I don't know. I don't even know that Roshan is cut. We've been saying it for what 2 years, Carl? Cut him.
Yeah, and here's the thing, right?
seasons?
We were operating under the context of cut Roshan Johnson because he's not Kyle Monangai. But the Bears just, for lack of a better term, lost. The Bears just lost Travis Homer. He signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Travis Homer was a special teamer that was a very core part of what Richard Hightower likes to do. There's a lot of familiarity with Richard Hightower, Roshan Johnson, and hopefully Roshan Johnson has come to terms with him not being a starting running back in the NFL. It's just not in the cards. Can he contribute to your football team in other ways? Can he contribute on special teams? Can he do the dirty work on these design kickoffs with these new rules that I'm still not even 100% clear on? Yeah. Probably. So if you're looking for a guy who's going to do a job, again, raise the floor type of player, Roshan Johnson can do a job for you on special teams. It's not a problem. I wouldn't let a player like Roshan Johnson or any of these running backs on your roster get in the way of drafting a very good running back if they are the best player available. Just saw a mock draft from Adam Mason. He took Nicholas Singleton in the 4th round. How would I feel about that? I'd love it. I think Nicholas Singleton is a capable player. He would help raise the floor and maybe even raise the ceiling. He's that good of a player if you hit well enough. And DeAndre Swift's not going to be here for a long time. Hopefully in 2026 he'll be here for a good time. But as far as a long time, I don't know if you're going to sign him to another extension. I just don't know.
Right. Agreed with all of that, man.
So we'll have to see. If I had to give you an answer to Tony Moy's question, which player is most likely to make the roster in 2026 out of the 3? I even put in there none. Is it more likely that all 3 get cut? Probably. Noah Sewell making the roster is the winner right now. I don't know. I think Karan Amagaji is least likely to make it. I just don't know. I could see Noah Sewell making it. It's just Noah Sewell's coming off that really bad injury. I think that injury is pretty severe. I thought that was an Achilles too, but I might be wrong on that. I'm not sure.
That could end up being an insurance settlement at some point.
Wow.
I'm just saying.
Insurance settlement.
We saw a couple of them last year.
Oh, you're saying the Bears would pay him to cut him?
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah,
it
is
what it is, man.
Yeah. Right. And as an NFL football operation, you would go about it the most professional way. You'd say, "Hey, we're in the business of winning football games. We don't think you can contribute to our roster. We will pay you to leave, and we will pay your medical debt, and we will allow you to use our facilities to rehab and all these things." that'd be the professional way to go about it. And if that's what that ended up being, I think all parties would be happy. Obviously, you want your draft pick to contribute to your football team to help win football games, but that's just not always how it ends up.
And I'm saying some of them will get a steal because he broke his foot.
Oh, Singleton is the player, yes. Yeah. I thought that those Penn State running backs as a tandem were pretty good. I don't know. I'll lay it out.
I did the same thing, Adam, in a draft, just because I'm looking at the list going, I'm just going to take this guy. Now I got a running back, man. I might even could trade Swift. Trading deadline if you're not there. Just the thought.
Yeah. I mean, again, I love to tell everyone who listens to me on YouTube here that I'm not an evaluator of talent. The one time I've really tried to evaluate the talent for a show with Adam, it was kind of like doing a deep dive and just looking at running backs out of college, right? Last year. I saw something with R.J. Harvey that the Broncos saw the exact same thing, and they drafted that player pretty high, and he turned out to be a pretty good player for them, huh? So maybe I know what I'm talking about, but in the same breath, I thought that Jadarian Prince or Price, the other running back from Notre Dame, I thought for a small moment in time this year, Foster, I thought that he was better than Jeremiah Love. I quickly realized I was wrong. Jeremiah Love's going to go top 5, but for a short moment in time, I thought that player was good too, or better than Love at least.
Well, here, dude. I when we drafted Roschon Johnson, it's on video, it's on YouTube here. It's on one of the shows. I looked at his stuff. I know he was a backup. We all know who he was a backup to. And I thought for sure, I'm looking at this guy going, I think he could have been a 3-down back. I know they don't really have him anymore, but if need be in situations, because I thought just watching his film, I'm like, the kid can block. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. And I thought he was better at hitting the holes, but you know what? Something happened after that concussion too. I don't think he ever played the same after that. But I say that to the people listening because Joseph Archer, 3265, says Roschon was a waste of a pick. We should not have picked him up, and he should have stayed for another year in college. That's probably true. He probably should have stayed in college another year. But then you might see what he really was. But I mean, just if you go back and you look at his college film, and there's not as much of it because of who he was running behind. What's his name up there in Detroit? And I thought he was going to be better than he's not lived up to my billing. I'll put it that way. So you're not always going to hit. But I'm like with what Adam did. I would have had no problem with that either. Taking him in the fourth pick.
Yeah. I don't know. Just specifically on Roschon Johnson, was he a waste of a draft pick? Probably not. I think he's going to end up, if he makes the roster, he'll play out his contract with the Bears, and it just wasn't a good pick. It was just an average pick, unfortunately. So we all wanted him to be a successful starting running back. We all know that the Bears have a extremely long lineage of really, really good running backs. Thought maybe for a 1 second, right? He got the Jeremy Langford treatment. We thought for 1 second he could be a good back for us, but doesn't seem like that's going to be the case, and that's okay. Not every draft pick has to be a home run to be an okay pick. So,
and Adam's updating us on the Illinois game. I'm a big Illinois fan. I can't believe I don't even have the game on. They're extended their lead. They're up 36-26. I don't know what.
Wow,
half they're in.
Michigan's going to be playing Alabama tomorrow at 6:35 Central. 33-3 they are.
Stuff, man. You don't even live there.
Guess how many times I've watched the University of Michigan play a basketball game this year in 2026?
Really?
Yeah, I'm not watching.
I even saw a bunch of Illinois games just because I could get them.
Yeah, I hear it. But I don't know, man. Basketball is not my sport. I'm not a big fan of it. I do think that the March Madness tournament's a lot of fun.
Yeah, agreed.
I'll always have fond memories of Trey Burke and those old, at this point, Michigan college basketball teams. But nowadays, Michigan's got too much money. They can go out in the transfer portal, sign whatever kids they want, and they'll have a competitive team, and I have no idea who these players are. So that's the truth.
They get them from everywhere. I like the football because I watch college football. I'm sure you do too, Michigan, right? You watch that, right?
A little bit.
Okay. because I have no idea. I'm like, oh, and this guy's this and that, and I'm like, where'd he come from? And this is all because of the portal. So I don't know the guys, and then I'm like, oh, good, it'll be good year next year. This will be his senior year, and then he's gone.
I'm not sure who from 4-Star Chicago Sports we're talking to right
Uh,
now. Dustin, maybe. I have no idea.
We do this every week. Jordy says the same thing, and I forgot myself. I have to go back and look at their show to know who it is.
But I hope your analysis comes from strictly the tournament games that they've played, because I know I'm pretty sure Michigan lost to Purdue to lose the Big Ten potentially. It's always me. Perfect answer. Perfect answer from yourself. But yeah, I mean, I'll probably turn the game on tomorrow. I probably should. The first true game I'll watch of them, and I'm sure I'll watch them lose. That's just how it'll turn out, I'm sure. Yeah, Steve Rogers. That's a very, very true point. We got Bijan Robinson and Brian Robinson. Who's who in the zoo? Alrighty, Foster. Well, I think I'm ready to throw together your good old Polls Got This shit. I don't know if you have any closing thoughts for us.
I do not. I was just going to roll. We're going to roll. I want to look at some people for the draft. That's all. Should have been at it, but going to look at it now.
Find some guys, and maybe next week we can have some deep dives into some players that you're really, really liking, because I think that could be a lot of fun. I feel like we're stumbling upon a guy like Peter Woods, who seems to be a good fit and also just seems to be a really good player.
Absolutely agree there.
That'd be a lot of fun if we can get ourselves a decent defensive tackle. I guess from a philosophy standpoint too, though, how comfortable are you with the Bears taking risks in the draft now? I don't even know if I want to ask you about players with character concerns or injury concerns, but what about a guy who it's like, okay, I could go for the 24-year-old who I know is going to be good for the short term, but what about this 21-year-old who has no production, but he's got traits and he looks good, like he could be good? Are we willing to take a guy like that over like a proven commodity? I hope that makes sense.
No, it makes sense. That's the problem. Yeah, it makes total sense. I'm looking at what Pole's done, and I could see him going either way with it, doing what he's been doing, but then he has taken some chances. We just talked about Hippolyte. That's kind of a little iffy pick there, right? We've been talking about it.
Yeah.
So it's I guess somebody mentioned it earlier. We were talking about how many of their top 30 picks they didn't draft. Their top 30 interviews that they didn't draft.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't draft any of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's finding out stuff you don't know about guys that's maybe why you didn't draft them. Maybe you know enough about certain guys, and there's guys you have more questions about. That's why you bring them in. Other guys you believe or you think, and I shouldn't believe everything I think. Nobody should. You know exactly what they are. So, man, I like you said. Didn't you say earlier? I'm glad I'm not the GM.
Yeah, actually.
So, I can agree with that wholeheartedly. Just sitting here in the last 2 minutes talking about this, man. But they put it this way, Carl. We know this, right? They need to have a nice, successful draft class again. On the whole,
yeah. So to kind of answer my own question, I don't think you're at a spot where you can afford to miss, right? Maybe you're at a point where you don't need to hit, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't need pick 25 to win you 2 games to be able to sneak into the playoffs. It's not that dire. But I don't think you can have these picks just straight up be misses either. I think, and maybe this is a spoiler for something I want to talk to Paul about, one of the tenets of the draft is like you need to set the floor with really good players and have a solid core 40 in place for when you start to pay Caleb Williams, because Caleb Williams will hopefully be able to kind of smooth over some edges. Then you can do things like what the Eagles do, where you trade up one pick to draft a literal convict out of the University of Georgia. And if he doesn't pan out, that's okay because you still got Caleb Williams. But it would sure be nice if he's one of the best defensive tackles in the league, right? Maybe I'll win a Super Bowl because of that pick alone. So, don't think we're there yet. Maybe a year or two out.
Absolutely.
44-26 says Bear Down
I was
Sports.
just going to bring that up, man.
Well, speaking about running away with things, what if we run around like this?
Everybody be quiet. It's my turn to talk now. And guess what? I want to see everybody's dicks out right now.
All right, Adam Mason, you heard the kind lady. Whip it out for us, please, because Polls has got this shit, everyone. Say goodnight.
Yeah.
The results from tonight's chat poll, and I apologize, chat being on screen a little bit more often than I normally am makes it harder to focus on getting the chat polls blasted out. But we got a couple for you. Okay? So don't shoot the messenger. We asked the chat who is most likely to make the roster in 2026, and out of 14 votes, 50% said that Noah Sewell, most likely to make the roster in 2026. Followed by none of the three making the roster at 29%. 14% think that Karan Amagaji is most likely to make the roster, and only 7% think that Roshan Johnson is most likely to make the roster in 2026. Cody Denton says, "Hey, yo, what the?" Anyway, is that in response to the chat? I mean, literally, we've got guys saying that their camera's off. Oh my god! Wow. Anyway, we asked the chat. You can only have one player make the roster out of two choices. Maybe they both play the same position. I don't know. But out of 10 votes, 70% said that Jordan McFadden is the player that they would pick to make up the roster, over Karan Amagaji, who only received 30%, 3 of the 10 votes. And then, maybe the most fun, detailed question we asked tonight. How many defensive line, that being defensive tackle and or defensive ends, should the Chicago Bears draft in the 2026 NFL Draft? Out of 23 votes, 61% feel that the Bears should draft 2 defensive linemen, and 39% feel that we should draft 3 or more defensive linemen. 0% said that we should draft 0, and 0% said that we should draft 1 defensive lineman.
Wow.
That's all I got.
So you think that's a position in need?
It sure feels like it should be.
At least all of us do, whoever voted.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of room for improvement there. And again, I think that it's a question paired with a question, and it will always be, do you feel like Austin Booker is your starter? And obviously, a starter on defensive line doesn't mean that you can't add to it, because we all know it's a rotation. But if you view, like me, if you view that Austin Booker is a starter, then maybe defensive end at 25 isn't as big of a need as some may think. Defensive tackle, however, I think is a glaring need. And I feel like Gervon Dexter is a guy who you cannot trust and you cannot proceed with. So I would replace him. Both can make the roster, but as far as 2027 is concerned,
it's got to be better.
Yeah.
2026.
Yeah.
Got to be better.
And the Scrolls has the comment of the night. If this was to happen, I would delete Bears Country Productions from YouTube. Bears are trading up for Mekhi Lemon. I have my sources. If your source is, I can't even think of Michael Irvin's name right now.
Yeah.
If Michael Irvin's your source on that, your profile picture on YouTube, the Scrolls, maybe I'll believe you, but have him send me like a cameo. Say, hey, Carl, the Bears are trading up for Mekhi Lemon. If you give me a cameo of that, I'll play it on screen just for the record. So I don't know if he does cameo or whatever, but that'd be really funny.
Yeah. I get it, Adam. Last thing here, I'll just we do the chat too. Get to the chat.
Oh, the chat. Who's in the chat tonight? We can do that. We can do that.
Adam
so right
Mason?
now, currently live in the chat, we've got Too Greedy 7143, the Scrolls 9190. What about Sugget? Have you seen Sugget before in this chat?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've seen. I just saw Sugget in the Bear Down Sports chat
True,
that we did
True
earlier
Pilgrim.
today.
Bear Down Sports, Steve Rogers.
Yeah, I was gonna say, who's
They're
that guy,
all
Steve
here.
Rogers? That's
Cliff,
definitely a new
Cliff
name to the chat.
Victoria, of course.
Welcome in, Steve Rogers, first time viewer. Or your first time, long time, Steve?
Too Greedy, 7143.
Did we say hello to Kink Buka World today?
I said Buka. I don't know if you heard me.
Oh.
I was just waiting. Too Greedy, 7143. And you said Sugget. Yes, Sugget.
Cody Denton.
Yep. Cody Denton. Creator PY2KY.
That looks like a new name to me, the creator.
I think I've seen it, but maybe I'm wrong.
So Mr. Mayhem says, great show.
Yeah.
And about 2 hours and 30 minutes ago, Foster, Mr. Mayhem threw $1 at us. So for the first time, it only took 2 hours and 30 minutes, everyone.
No.
Dan will be joining us.
What, no super chats?
No, I got it up immediately, dude. I got it up. You were in there.
I was watching. I haven't missed a minute of the show. I was just late, but I was watching from the comfort of my toilet.
Two Pilgrim, 144,000. I said Steve Rogers. I'm trying to go up this. Don Burr. I forgot Don Burr was it. How we are Bears. Stop in, Tony Moy. Multiple questions. Thanks, Tony.
Adam Mason from Bear Down Sports says, good job not getting the live stream disconnected, Carl. You're 1 for 2 tonight. Yeah, sometimes when you just play the full YouTube video of Cairo Santos celebrating after a field goal kick and it's literally like 30 seconds long, Adam, they'll take your channel down. You're not Fox Sports, buddy.
Oh, so is that what happened?
Yeah, the show today on Bear Down Sports was designed around like a March Madness college basketball bracket where it's like, okay, 16 plays from the season, which one's the best? And you go 2 at a time, and you got all the clips. Yeah. Adam's just not a professional compared to myself, right? Wasn't able to get it to 6-7 seconds, zoom in a little bit to cut out the Fox logos and everything so they can't automatically grab it. You got to have a little bit of finesse there, Adam. You'll learn one day, buddy. You'll learn one day.
So, and then it just cut off because I didn't catch the show. I was out.
Yeah.
It was,
do you remember that?
Out in the pouring rain here, man.
Do you remember that one time on this channel where Paul and Dan tried to stream Max Crosby's podcast?
Yeah.
Where obviously Max Crosby's going to have his stuff monetized, and they got that flagged too.
Yeah.
It's just how YouTube is, man. Cliff Victoria nails it once again. Adam, YouTube sucks. It was so much better before Google bought it. Just like a lot of things, Cliff. Just like a lot of things.
Yep. I can't even, my thing to go back. I always like to go back to the top. I can't do it. It won't let me. I don't have any more names to give you.
No more names today, huh?
Well,
the good news is that a lot of these names. Do we say hello to Relentless Mikey here at the end? Relentless Mikey always deserves a special shout out.
Yeah, he always does. He had
Semi-pro Jackie Moon.
Yeah. I brought that on earlier. And you guys were talking, I said it.
STC?
Yeah. I got him in there too, man, because he's here. He's been here.
Cliff Victoria says, what about food and movies? ? You guys are slacking. I have Cliff.
He's just trying to make us stay for another hour.
Cliff, my dinner was so good today that it literally forced me to be late to the show. Just for the record. Twice baked potatoes. Very, very good stuff. Suggest everyone try that out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Where you been hiding for 20 years, man?
Huh?
Like baked potatoes? Oh.
Twice baked potatoes. Okay?
Cliff's got a great recipe for those, and I don't even know if he does, but I guarantee he does.
Your dinner plugged you up, huh? This is not a Dixon my ass situation either, Cliff, so let's not go there.
Cliff, do you got a twice baked potato recipe? Specifically one for the grill.
We'll give you 30 seconds. Cliff, we'll give you
I'm
30
no, I'm
seconds
sure
to
he does.
answer
I'm
before
sure
I
he
end the
does.
stream. 25 seconds,
Let's
Cliff.
go.
25 seconds remaining.
He has several. Not just one, he has several. I've got like 2, and I just adapt them. There you go.
Wow.
There's our food segment for tonight. That's it. That's all you get. Cliff's got several
Fuck Green Bay.
white baked potatoes recipes.
So, like, Cliff, when you make them, do you just, like, alter the recipe per potato? Like, oh, this potato, I'll do this recipe, so on and so forth? Oh, I'm just kidding. Yep. King Buka World, you got it.
Hey, Shepard Anderson. How you doing? Did not recognize the name, but I know this guy. What's up, Steve?
Oh,
No
shit.
Pat
I
Coogan
told
love.
Steve I would, too. I told Steve I would as well.
Okay,
Oh, my God.
No
Oh, my God.
Pat Coogan love here,
Oh, my
Steve.
God.
He's just a negative guy.
So
Benjamin
PFSN
Williams.
PFSN doesn't have a write-up.
Yeah, it's not ready yet.
Yeah, again, I'll give you everything I got, buddy. I mean, this show right here.
They're gonna. That'll take another couple weeks before they get everything, all the write-ups done, and then they probably won't even finish them out because they usually don't. I'm talking about PFSN.
So
No, I don't know. I don't know who's running
here's
it.
your size for
It's
Pat
so bad.
Cogan: 6'5", 311, 31 and an eighth inch arms. That looks slow. No on-field drills, projections. So he dipped all the way to 231 in October, and now he's all the way back up to 199, which is about July, August last year. CFB Impact, you say, huh? I don't know what's going on right there. But yeah, overview, it just doesn't exist, man. Transferred from Notre Dame to Indiana? I know that the NIL and these transfers, it's all about money, but you don't want to be leaving Notre Dame if you're an offensive lineman. I don't know if Jay Grizz is still in here. He knows all too well. Notre Dame produces elite offensive linemen, so.
Yeah, is Indiana stepping it up with their football team because they sure had a great one last year.
Whoa!
They certainly aren't the basketball team they used to be. There you go.
That? Skip on potatoes. Often use celery root instead. That's gnarly. That's a gnarly one, man. Alrighty, Foster. I think I'm ready to get
Wait.
to work here and wrap
I got to
everything
clarify
up.
this because there's a misunderstanding.
Okay. Oh,
Cliff.
yeah.
Cliff said Shorty had dogs pass, tough time. He had one dog pass. The other one's very ill, and we're at a stage. So, but he's been just overwhelmed with stuff going on at work. He'll be fine. He needed the night off, and we're like, no problem, man. We'll do our best. And here we are. You guys are stuck. So only the one dog passed, and that was last week. And the problem, Buka, was it was the unexpected dog that passed. The one that was sick is the one that's so. And everybody knows this if they remember, because I'm only saying what Shorty's told us all here live, and I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, and just to kind of cap that off, Shorty also has a lot of stuff going on with work, and he also has travel scheduled inside of that, which is just effectively a required travel. Yeah. So all that to say, in the worst, I'm not even going to say the worst case, don't be surprised if Shorty isn't back on the live show on Thursday for a little bit, next 2-3 weeks. There's no real telling what's going on. So just
and that's, no, Cliff, I just want to make sure everybody knows the facts. That's all. I just want it to be right, because I don't want somebody to say something to him and then he's like, what? No, it was just, but then he's got to explain it. So it's all good, dude. I didn't mean anything by it. It's just this way everybody who knows, who's been knowing, knows what actually happened. And if you go back and look at the shows, he's brought all this up over the last 3-4 weeks prior. So longer than that with the other dog, because we honestly thought he told us in January on this show live that the other dog was going to pass, and has not happened. So thanks, Book. I'm sure he appreciates that, man.
Yeah. Yep. Much love to Mr. Shorty. He knows that the chat's got his best interest at heart. They'll be looking forward to when he returns. And we will do our best to continue to provide a show every Thursday. Yep. If for whatever reason Foster and PJ couldn't make a show and there was no guest lined up, I'd probably give you guys 30 to 60 minutes by myself for the Q&A. So I'll do my best to make sure that there's something on Thursday. Continue to look forward to shows weekly here on the channel. Obviously, we're getting to the point where the content is a little bit harder to get to. We're going to get a huge influx soon, in my opinion. We're going to get a little bit more on the draft side of things. We're going to get these 30 visits flying through, and then the draft is actually going to occur in, 3 or 4 weeks at this point?
Draft stuff's going to start next week anyways, because that's when everything starts coming out with it. It's literally, 30 days from the morning?
I wrote it down
27th?
somewhere. I'm sure I could Google search
I don't remember. 26th, 27th
I have
April.
in my notes somewhere. I wrote this down specifically.
What's up, Neo Red Pill 99? Thank you very much. He said you dudes are awesome.
Yeah, day one of the draft is April 23rd. So
23rd?
we're
Oh,
literally
so
like a
it's-
month
okay.
away. 1, 2, 3. 3 more shows to go until that 23rd, which would be exactly.
Yeah, but it's just I should have known Adam would know right off the bat. There's no doubt. But we'll start talking some more guys. We'll pull up some guys next week.
Yeah, we'll get your Kogans, your centers, your 6th round picks. We'll get the lowdown on those guys. Maybe that'll be our homework for this week, Foster. Find one Jag that no one's talking about. And I'll start at the University of Michigan. Maybe I'll talk to you sons of bitches about Max Bredesen, everyone's favorite fullback utility player. You guys have no idea what I know. I'm just kidding. But we'll find some guys. You got to talk about guys who no one else is talking about. I understand.
I'm not sure if I want to know what you know. That's all. I'm just saying it.
Wow.
Oh, here's a guy, Adam. Adam's got my guy too, because I knew this name for one reason. Bryce Foster. I forgot what school. I pulled him up on here somewhere. Just because of the name. That's the only reason I even looked at dude. Straight up. We know it. We all know it.
Mr. Computer, tell me all the draft prospects that have the last name Foster.
No, because I'll go through the list, and if I see like a player that I've seen, some of a game or a couple games he's been in, I'll pull up and read about him. But this is one of the guys that I just pulled it up specifically because of his name. And I can't even remember what I sat here and read the whole thing, Carl. I couldn't tell you what team. Offensive lineman? Defensive lineman. I don't remember. Adam knows, so it don't matter. I think we need to hit it, man.
Actually thinking about doing fish and spaghetti.
And on that note, I think that is a good night to all. Bryce Foster,
There we go.
center out of Kansas.
Yeah.
Who's got a magic 8-ball? Suck
really
it.
bad.
You got 8-ball for me, buddy?
Really bad. Talking about my memory.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, Francis, I totally agree. Foster is legendary, and hopefully you're talking about the guy to my left, right? That's my left. So
Yeah, wherever you're pointing at, I'm there somewhere.
on the right side of the screen, my left. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. No, you're left.
Last word, Foster. Anything? Got anything?
Peace. Stay safe, man. Stay safe, everybody. Have a great weekend.
And how do you feel about the Packers?
Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. And now I'm saying FDP.
Fuck the Packers?
Yep.
It's always fuck the Packers, Foster.
Yep.
We'll see you next week, everyone. Good night.
We BCP, we BCP.